only the top 4 teams in every division out of the 8 teams will make it to the playoffs. So half of the squad will be gone after 2 weeks. That's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, it's tough news for the teams that are being eliminated from playoff contention or relegated from the league entirely. They'll have a chance to qualify next year, but yeah, it's not fun to be in the thick of things and then be either, like I said, relegated or just miss the playoffs. You want to be in on the action, of course. So speaking of in on the action, the knight now went to e3, so it's closer to the action. The rook can come to c1 to back up this pawn c5, and there's rook c1, and white is just better. Up a pawn. The one thing I'd be concerned about, and I don't know if you agree with me, is that there are going to be some counter chances because f3 e4 structure is a bit vulnerable, right? Like black at some point can consider playing g5 to go g4. Excuse me, or even...
I agree with you, but I love the knight maneuver white has just played because he wants to undermine the blockade on c6. He wants to push the c pawn, but for that he first needs to chase away the queen from c6. Black is going down on the clock too. 11 seconds left.
Whoa. Whoa. So rook d2 played, knight b4, so queen a8 or something. How do I need to get to an attacking, so queen a4 is probably better. So go queen a4. Ooh, queen c7 is too passive, and I understand why he did it, but he might try to go knight h5 next and try to sack on h2 and get that queen into the action. But here I think the queen c3 is a very nice defense. There it is played. Nice defensive move, attacking the rook, protecting f3 just in case, and that c-pawn's going. I don't know, your idea. Getting that the queen out of its blockading square. And now knight a6 followed by c7 looks like it's going to be a problem. And knight a6
Yeah, very
here.
instructive how white is using the knight constantly. So first it was knight b4, now knight a6. He keeps chasing away the queen, and now c7, because it doesn't matter that the knight was hanging, the rook too was hanging on d8. This should be game over. The pawn is already on the 7th rank.
Just don't blunder queen h3 check. Put your king on g2.
Don't blunder! King g2.
Rook
Good
c2.
job.
Just make sure your king is safe. That's always the utmost importance in a position like this. Make sure there are no checks allowed. So here, queen...
He's listening to you. He's listening.
I'm
not literal listening. They cannot listen to us. Don't worry. It's telepathy.
Yeah. So what does he do now? He's kind of... Ooh, I like that move. Offering the queen trade. If you take, then you're probably in just a lost endgame. Queen a4. Now rook a2 just to protect that knight. Okay, queen c6 is even better. Look at him go. Just forcing the queens off the board.
Queen trade.
And now what? Rook b6 to b8? Or just pushing his pawns? Okay. He's trying to say...
he just needs to make sure that the black king doesn't get there in time, because if the king is on d7, suddenly it's not that easy to see how it's going to win. The pawn is hanging on c7. Hasn't he just spoiled the advantage?
Yeah, what was f5? Why didn't you just bring his king in? Like, the whole point was to bring your king in to go after g7, and instead he wasted a little bit of time here. Now, knight e6, use that pin. Oh, rook h8 check. It's check. Get out of the pin. They missed it.
He didn't see it.
He missed rook h8 check, getting out of the pin. In fact, black would have been better in that endgame. Now all of a sudden, knight takes 6. Ooh, pawn takes e6. Now white's winning. King d8, e7 check. He completely blundered.
Whoa, and it's over. Rook
wow.
and the pawn promotes.
Wow, what an ending there. So let's just go back. Well, this position, the point is king d7, rook c8, king c8, e8 equals queen. Anna, you just said that, so absolutely. You just blundered your rook here. But if we go back to this move knight e6, making use of the pin, rook h8 check is a check, gets out of the pin, and in fact you're just winning a pawn on e6. So black could have turned the tables. Now this endgame is very likely going to be a draw anyway, but still black is on the better side of this endgame up a pawn. And that was a huge missed opportunity for Samuel Tsirsahakyan. And if we go back to this position where it looked like Yakubayev was playing very well, f5 is such a strange move to me. Play king g4, and after king d7, just bring your rook back, because you can't take my pawn on c7, as if we trade into this endgame here. Then my king goes to h5 or f5, goes to g6. I'm going to win your g7 pawn. That's game over. So a curious ending there. They both were in time trouble, so I'll forgive them. But ending up being a much-needed win for the Estonia horses against the Armenian Eagles.
Indeed, that was such a dramatic finish, with both players having only seconds on the clock and the position changing from completely winning to white to equal and almost better for black. But Samuel Tsirsahakyan didn't realize his chance. Can we get some hype in the chat for this epic endgame? It feels good and it feels Batman at the same time.
Yeah.
I need some poggers emotes right now, guys. I need some poggers. Shout out to all of you. 2097 lovely people tuning into the Proteus League. This is week 9 and we are witnessing the most important online chess tournament competition. That chess tournament, I was going to say chess team competition, the penultimate week of the Proteus League before the playoffs.
Yeah. Whew. I can't even breathe. That was like, shook me up a little bit there. I mean, wow. Just what a turn of events there. Anna, I don't know what to say. Where do we go from here?
I just want to use my Peter Poggers emote in the chat. This is Peter Poggers, aka Peter Doggers, our usual producer. Not today, but oftentimes you see him on chess.com broadcast. And I have the new hamster emote, so I'm going to make some Pogger hamster hype in the chat. I need a break. I need to breathe after this endgame, I feel like. But what a game. And Nodirbek is on my fantasy team, so I'm happy.
I'm happy. You're happy. So, it's a win for both of us.
You.
I went over to the game between Sergey Vaipov and Vladimir Mikhailovsky. Mikhailovsky, yes. Because Mikhailovsky has 17 seconds and counting down. He's also down a pawn in the position, but he has a great light squared bishop. So I don't know if he's at his board and he's just thinking because he's about to lose on time. Like
Ooh.
5, 4. What was you can't. Wow, finally made a move, and that's just curious time management to me. Granted, he's 2185 playing against a 2583 player, so he's outrated, but you have to move more quickly than leaving yourself with 4 seconds left when your opponent's 5 minutes and is up a pawn. So strange time management, or mismanagement, I should say, but I really thought he was just going to lose on time and he disconnected or something.
He almost did it. And another game that I'm looking at is incredible. The game between Paichadze and Harshit Raja, the last move of white, placing the queen on a square that can be captured with a pawn. He has played queen to h6.
Sorry, which game is this? Paichadze, you said?
Luka Paichadze versus Harshit Raja.
Whoa.
And the last move of white is queen h6.
Sam Copeland. Hey, Sam. Sam, you there?
S-A-M, Sam Copeland.
I love it. I love the cheering for Sam. But queen h6, I don't even know what black does. If you take on h6, bishop takes h6 or f6 both win. But the point is after bishop h6 check, if you go king to h8, okay, you can throw some pieces in the way, knight g4, I take, bishop g5, I take, king h8, knight takes f7 is check and mate with that king caught in the corner. So the idea is to break open the king and deliver a checkmate, and that means bishop takes f6 is now a threat, because if I take on f6, wait a second, I can't take twice on f6. So maybe I have a moment to spare, but I need a useful move. I just don't see one.
What is a useful move here? I would be so scared. Black is getting mated.
Yeah, this is just over, isn't it? I don't even see a good move. I don't even see a possible move. Like if you go g6 to stop any sort of sacrifice on the g file, then the rook comes to h3, and I'm going right after the h7 pawn. You go knight h5, then I believe I can take on e7, and after queen takes e7, play g4 and just kick your knight away. That seems pretty good. Or maybe there's something even better, but g4 looked really strong there. Oh, this is just terrible.
It is terrible. The gentlemen already have a 2-point advantage in this match, and now this will be a 3rd point to separate them from the Indian squad. This is the top team of the Eastern Division. The Tbilisi gentlemen have collected 179.5 points, more than any other team in the entire Pro Chess League. And today they keep going strong. What a beautiful move. Queen to h6.
Yeah, they're not messing around here. Luka Paichadze's not. And I'm just going to pull up the g6 is played. It's a rook h3 I expect to be on the board very shortly. The idea being that after rook h3, I'm trying to take on f6 and go queen takes h7, check with a mate coming. So really nice played here by Luka Paichadze. Should expect to see this game done in the next few minutes, as Harshit Raja will think, but it's unfortunately not going to be enough. Thinking is not going to help him. Okay, Manu David has 27 seconds left, so I want to hop over there real quick.
We should go back to that game. I just couldn't resist this queen h6 move.
No, how can I blame you there? That was really fascinating. And here, Dmitry Kryakvin, I said Kryakvin again. Kryakvin.
For the win. Kravkin for the win.
So the
Kravkin for the win. Difficult surname.
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna stop trying.
No, but you're right. Like the f sound coming before the like k sound makes a lot of sense. Like we like Karyakin, and it just we're used to it. Now Kryakvin is it's just a mouthful. So here the question is, can I take on g5 and give up my f3 and e4 pawns as long as I win the a5 pawn? That looks like it should be good, but white can also just start with king a4, and that was just played. So moving in the king first. The g5 pawn is not going anywhere, so it looks like Kryakvin can take on g5, and after king takes f3, play even rook to b5, offering an exchange of rooks. So after rook c6, I play e5, and I get to keep both pawns and enter a rook and two pawns versus rook and none. So that looks like is what I would do if I'm, and there it is, rook to b5 played. So Kryakvin stream sniping here, figuring it out, and finding this move that allows him to play e5 next and keep both pawns in this rook endgame.
Yeah, it's only 12 seconds left for Manu David, but more problematic than the clock situation is this rook endgame where he is down 2 pawns after the capture on a5, and even if he gets the e-pawn, which is not likely, the problem is if after king takes a5, he wants to take on e5, that king and pawn endgame is lost, so he has no time to take this e5 pawn, and that's just 2 extra pawns for white.
Yeah, and even now you can give up this e-pawn because your b-pawn is getting pretty passed over here, so you could probably give up this e5 pawn and just, so rook c1 here, the king's cut off. Actually, it's a perfect demonstration that you just play rook c1. All right, he's going to move around a little bit, but that doesn't help because like black can just go rook somewhere, like rook h6 played, and the e5 pawn is still going to be in trouble. But, okay, I guess rook c6 might be a good move here. But either way, my point is that you can go king a5 back, put your rook on c1, give up your e-pawn, and start pushing your b-pawn because the black king is cut off from the defense against this passed pawn, and then you'll end up building a bridge and winning the game in a standard rook endgame style. So here, king a6, same idea. You cut the king off on the c file, play king. All right, does not want to give up this e-pawn. Anna, can you tell him to give up the e-pawn?
He doesn't want to, he's holding on to it.
I mean, I know you got to hold on to what you got, but it does make a difference if I like it or not, because right now I just want him to push the b-pawn. I don't care about the e-pawn. Okay, maybe he'll go e6 here and then realize that after king d6 his pawn's not going anywhere, but yeah, just give that pawn up, push the b-pawn, win the game.
I think he's going to go for it. King b6, b5, and then he will give up the pawn if needed, but this is going to be a win in either case for the Phoenix, and that's important because they are trailing. Is that a 1-point lead so far for the Dynamite? I was glancing at the results so far. The Dynamite's having a 1-point advantage, which will be equaled by this rook endgame and Dmitry Kyavkin. I'm going to just call him Dmitry, I think that's easier. So Dimka winning this game for the Moscow Phoenix.
Yep. You see, call him Dimka?
Yeah, Russians usually have a nickname for every single first name. Even if you are a grown-up or you may be like 87, but you still may have like a nickname because it's just part of Russian culture. So Dmitry is our Dimka usually, yes.
Yeah, I like you. Daniel is Danya, Dmitry is Dimka. I like it. Anna is Anya. So
Yeah.
you're Anya. What am I? I'm Robchka. Like what like how,
Robchka.
like Robik or something like that.
I wish they had Robert as a standard Russian name because in that case they would definitely have something like Robsha or Robcha, Robichka. I don't know. I'm making up things. But this is winning for Dimka, that is for sure.
Yeah, Dimka did win the game. It's so weird calling him Dimka, but Dimka wins, and that is great news for the Phoenix. Okay.
Bobchik. you're giving new nicknames in the chat. Robbie, Robig, Bobchik,
No,
Rochka.
anything with Bob is not happening. I mean, I just
Robushka.
Rabushka, like babushka, but with okay.
Totally.
I can dig that. That's fine. Wait, there's a king on g3 in Niko Volkov versus Abhimanyu Puranik. I feel like every time I look at Abhimanyu Puranik's game, he's either down to 5 seconds left or he is in trouble.
Let me catch up with that game. I was so focused on your new nicknames that I was missing out on your good friend Nika Volkov.
Yep. So
Tell us about Nika Volkov and why you two are such good friends.
well, Anna, there was that time where sorry, one second. There was that one time we were commentating together, and what was it, Rook and Bishop versus Rook? And he
Yes.
missed the checkmate. That was Why do you have to bring up...
That was a bonding moment between you and Nika.
Hold up, I'm trying to fix the audio.
Sure.
So we'll keep talking, but...
Yeah, sure. Guys, we haven't realized Robert is on it. We are fixing the audio right now. Thank you, everyone, for being so aware of what's going on and always warning us whenever we need to do something. So good job. Thank you, chat.
Yeah, I was told to do this, so don't just blame me. I'm trying to fix things behind the scenes while talking about chess, while being reminded about a painful memory, so... All right.
What painful memory. I thought that was the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
All right, I'm going to... Because I was told to do this, and now I'm very confused.
I'll just patiently wait and you let me know if I should talk or not talk.
Okay, so apparently things are being handled here, but hopefully everybody can hear us. It's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, you know. Yeah, not my forte, but Hess has muted Anna. I would never do that.
Yeah, finally.
I would never do that.
Finally, I can swear.
Someone goes, "Why is Volkov down a piece?" You can swear. I don't even know that's in your if that's in your vocabulary. Here, rook e7 to take on h7 looks pretty good. So
No, it was a bad joke. My English doesn't have many swear words, but my Spanish is more like a street hustler Spanish.
Sorry, you're gonna have to keep talking while I fix something.
Sure, yeah. I was just talking about the difference between how I learned English and Spanish, because English I learned in school and at university, so the very academic way of learning a language. But Spanish I learned by moving to Spain, and my teammates in the chess club, they were all guys and they all have their very open way of talking. So a couple of the phrases I picked up, even though they're not swear words, but they are very like a guy way of talking. So when I started going to when I started meeting other people and Spanish people and I was using my Spanish, I thought that was normal Spanish. It turned out that I'm talking like a guy. I talk like a dude in Spanish.
I mean, I don't think there's any specific way to talk like a dude, or, you know, I don't really believe in that kind of stuff, but I see what you're saying. I definitely, you know.
They just said I wasn't very feminine. I wasn't like a lady. So I wouldn't say like I'm going to the restroom when I need to go to the bathroom, but I would use a phrase in Spanish that is not such a nice way of putting it. So it wasn't very educated, the way I was talking.
You can talk however you want to be. I think people have ridiculous standards and stereotypes. So, yeah, I'm not about that.
Yeah. So back to the chess. I think we have the audio issue fixed. Oh. And now this has been the game between Abhimanyu Puranik and Robert's best friend, Nika Volkov. Nika went down in this game, which is sad to see, I know, Robert.
Nika Volkov, he did lose his game to Puranik here, but good for Puranik to keep some time on his clock, right? That's essential.
Yeah, definitely.
Hold up, I'm just trying to figure out, getting messages.
It's okay, and I'm trying to stop myself from having an allergy reaction. As usual, you guys know that sometimes I struggle with things like breathing air and such, but we are doing our best to keep the stream going. I will try to keep the oxygen entering my body so I can keep talking, and Robert will make sure that the stream is running smooth. Smooth as a Hedgehog was one of my favorite nicknames from yesterday. And we had this hedgehog theme going on during yesterday's broadcast with Danny Rensch. His new name, by the way, is Danny Renschhog. Just so that you know, Robert.
Danny, I saw that actually. I saw RN putting in the hedgehog there. Okay, I'm going to try to switch games. I think everything is normalizing behind the scenes. And so sorry, everybody. I've been very distracted. Sorry to you, Anna, because I've been also listening with one ear, but it's been kind of going out the other a little bit. But I am trying to keep everything together here. It's just working behind the scenes and make things even better. So are there...
You're doing a great job, Robert. You're doing a great job.
Yeah. So are there any games that we should go to? So this game is over between Nika Volkov and Abhimanyu Puranik. Which games should we start to look at?
I see Well, a king on c7. I was looking at this position between Savchenko and Mikhail Bryakin with the black pieces, and I was wondering why is the king on c7 and the queen on b8, and why not the other way around?
Because this is an extra strong battery. You know, the king is supposed to be the most important piece. So when you put your king
Yeah,
between the queen and the bishop, it's called Bryakin's gun, right? We have Alyokin's gun. Here's
Bryakin's gone.
this is a very powerful diagonal here. And in all seriousness, Anna, I have no idea why it's like that, but I still think black is doing okay because even material, and it's not like white's king is particularly safe. Plus, there are no pieces really attacking this king on c7. So I think that black is doing all right here for the time being, but you do need to figure out what to do with that king because it's looking ridiculous on c7.
It certainly is looking ridiculous, but also the white king is not the best king situations we have seen. There's doubled f pawns. Both pawns are weak for white, and the g and h pawns are gone, missing.
Yeah, what about, no. Yeah, maybe rook takes e5, I was saying, but that's just a draw. So rook e5, pawn e5, queen e7 check, and then I just follow your king around. You're going to go to b6.
Fancy. I like it. For a draw, it's good.
I don't really like white's position, if I'm being honest, because like you said, there's no pawns in front of the king on h1. Even if I go g5 here, I'm happy to give up my h-pawn because then I'll get rook h8, right? So you can't take the pawn h5. In fact, white really wants to keep that pawn there. Black would love to throw it off the board. If that pawn was just gone from the board and there's g5, black would be very happy. So I think black is the one making progress here. Yes, the king is still looking ridiculous on c7, but I just don't really see what white's doing either. Rook d6 now can be played and queen d8, and I can just double on the d file and maybe even go rook to d2 after that. So rook d6, queen d8, rook to d2 or to d1. It's looking very favorable for Bryakin.
I agree with you, and I wonder if Savchenko should have been more objective about his position and go for the draw. Sometimes it happens when you are higher rated than your opponent, or that earlier in the game white was winning or he had a better position. You still want to try to win, but now this is going downhill for white, and he may have to try to save it and bail out somehow.
Yeah, but how to bail out is the real question. h4 to
Yeah, he missed his chance of bailing out with rook takes e5.
Yeah. And now h4 was played, I guess, to avoid a queen h7 check, taking on h5. So the pawn h4 is well protected. The bishop on e5 can't be kicked out. Black can continue making progress moves like queen to c5 and rook to d2, things like this. And it's just better for black. I'm not saying winning, of course not. But it's just better for black, and we'll see if Bryakin is able to make progress. I would start by playing the move queen to c5 and getting my queen more centralized.
I agree with you. I think this is a nice position for black. I wonder what's happening on the other boards between the two Russian teams, the Moscow Wizards and the Volga Stormbringers. The Wizards are currently the third ranked in the Eastern Division, so they're looking good for the playoffs, but anything can happen. This is the last regular match all the teams play, and next week, last week before the playoffs, the Battle Royale with more points at stake. So I would say any of the bottom 6 teams in the Eastern Division, could they still make it mathematically? Okay, maybe not the bottom 2, but I'm very bad at maths. John Urshel knows it. So yeah, everything is wide open in terms of which teams will make it to the playoffs between the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth place.
Yeah, it's very close, and it will be a really interesting to see how the season comes to a close because, like you said, Battle Royale next week is huge for so many teams from so many different divisions. But right now, as you mentioned earlier in the show, the Delhi Dynamite really need to win today against the Moscow Phoenix. They need to get ahead of a team that's been struggling all year. The Phoenix have not been one of the better teams in the league. In fact, they're in last place in this very division. So on the Phoenix's part, I don't even think they have any hope of catching up to get out of relegation territory. But on the other hand, the Dynamite, if all goes well and they just start crushing and the Mumbai Movers start losing, they have a chance to play catch-up. So this is a huge week for the Dynamite, especially with the Movers down 5.5, 2.5.
Indeed. So the top 2 teams of the division, the Gentlemen and the Eagles, are taking on the bottom 2 teams. I was looking at it the wrong way. It's the Phoenix and the Horses are the bottom 2. I was confusing it. The Horses are facing the Eagles, but the Gentlemen and Mumbai Movers, the Movers are fighting for the playoff qualification. So that's why that is one of the biggest clashes of the day. But what we see is that both the Georgian team and the Armenian teams, they are doing what they do best, winning games. They keep winning.
Yep. And I just pulled up the game. Speaking of the Armenian and winning, I pulled up the game between Shant Sargsyan and Nikita Meshkovs. And I see two knights, very centralized, and two bishops, one of which is blockaded by white's massive pawns in the center, that b7 bishop. But the f6 bishop is about to breathe new life once this knight moves away from the e5 square. So knight to d3 or something, knight to g4. I'll take on g3. You'll take back with the, I don't know which pawn, the f or a, one of these pawns, and then I'll put my bishop on c3 and go a5, a4, bishop a6 to c4, something like that. It just looks amazing for black. Just the bishops are very strong in a position like this.
I agree with you. And in this very same match, a game has just finished. That's between Haik Martirosyan and Nodirbek Yakuboyev. I wanted to look at the last few moves because this is epic.
Whoa, so
Look at the king in the middle of the board.
Firstly, let's get to where that move 12, king f1, knight b4, bishop takes h7, not caring that that bishop is about to get trapped after g6 because black isn't developed, so it's hard to attack this bishop a second time as we have this stare down on the h file. So bishop g5, saying you're not castling queenside, bishop g7, king g1 getting out of check's way, bishop f6 coming here, and that opens up the e5 square, and now the rook on h4 is also protected, so I can go ahead and take on g6 if worst case scenario. But look what he does. Queen to e5, queen to d6, and knight to e5 saying, here comes the checkmate after queen to d6. Can't stop me from getting to e7, and so that is a forced checkmate.
He just sneaked in on the dark squares. Guys, when you hear about weaknesses on squares, because yes, you may spot, this pawn is weak and that can be attacked, but also the squares, it's not just about pawns or pieces being unprotected. The squares here, all the dark squares in black's camp are super vulnerable, and that's why black lost the game. The queen just infiltrated the position, d6 and b8 and back to d6, and it's mate on e7. Beautiful game by Martirosyan.
Yeah, and a painful game for Yakubayev. And he played the Caro-Kann, so the better version of the French, but it goes to show, again, that these openings could use some work here.
Definitely. And it was not a French defense.
No, it wasn't. It was the improved French defense, so... Ooh. And yeah, I'm going to pretend I didn't say that and move on to the Shant Sargsyan game again, because in this position, it looks like Shant Sargsyan can win an exchange by taking this knight on c4. And bishop takes c4, you have to take back with your knight, and then I take on e1. But what Meshkovs is relying on here is look at this pawn mass in the center, d5, e4 pawns that are mobile. And black's pawns are blockaded by this knight on c4. So I see that moves in play. Took on d2 instead and played pawn to c4, saying, I don't really care about the material. I care about how quick my pawns are. But the problem I have with this is once this white knight reaches d4, which it can go to via f3 to d4, it might just hop into c6 as well, and I'm not sure how black is aiming to make progress on the queen side with such a quick knight hopping into the action.
Yes, the square that you pointed out is very important, and if white can activate the knight, I agree that this doesn't look as easy. Once you get the knight to a more active square through f3, d4 to c6, it's controlling the b8 square, it's blocking the c5, it's controlling the d8 square, so that would be a very useful piece.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's looking like white's chances have been improving in recent moves, and maybe this bishop takes d2 move wasn't necessary, because why do you have to do that now? What is white's plan if you don't play bishop takes d2? Maybe you can do something else for black, like a move like g6, challenging white's pawn structure, or a move like rook a to d8, centralizing that rook and taking that knight on d2 later. So it feels like, you know, he didn't go for the material, he went for the pawn push, and maybe it's just good, and I'm underestimating black's chances here. An f6 play, trying to start an attack.
Ooh.
But
interesting strategy. That's a move that normally could be very effective if there were more pieces on the board, especially queens on the board. That would help the attack. But here, I'm a little skeptical about it.
Yeah, I guess white's trying to go a quick rook h4, rook h1, rook takes h7. But that seems like a long story where c3, bishop d3, etc. looks, I guess knight b3 here. So that way, if bishop d3, you have knight c5. and your knight still can come to d4. You can also play pawn to f3 to reinforce the pawn on e4. So interesting moment here for Sargsyan. Not the most comfortable position, honestly. That pawn to f6 is really annoying.
It is annoying, but I wonder if it's that dangerous for the fact that the c3 pawn, it's a protected pawn for black. That's what you guys see. It's 2 squares away from promotion, and that means that it's tying down the white pieces to the back rank. So even if white could dream of some kind of an attack with knight d4, knight f5, doubling rooks on the h file, it takes so much time that black will just simply bring the rook or both rooks to the c file and start pushing the c pawn so that the c1 square will have to be under control.
Yeah, it's a very fair point. So bishop c4 played first, so that way you can always take on b3 if necessary, but also a5, a4 is certainly an option. What about knight a5 here for white? And the point, wait, never mind. I guess knight a5 bishop takes a2 works, doesn't it? I was trying to go rook a1 and trap your bishop, but rook a1 you have pawn to b3, and that's not
just
good.
in time, so black can take the pawn on a2 and then protect the bishop with b3.
Oh,
I think
wait.
Sargsyan's doing well. What happened?
Knight c6, so knight a5, bishop a2, knight c6. I did this by accident, but I found a great tactic. Knight c6 attacking b4. a5, I have knight e7 check. King h8, rook takes h7 check. King h7, rook h1 would be a checkmate, thanks to the knight on e7.
Ooh, so this pawn on f6 can actually create a mating net around the black king.
Yeah, because knight a5, I just blundered, frankly. I thought I could go rook a1 and trap your bishop, but after bishop a2, knight c6, attacking b4, threatening knight e7 check. So let's see what f takes g7 was played. Ruined my entire idea. Maybe it's better, but I like my accidental checkmating attack situation.
I love it. Accidentally brilliant is pointed out by Perpetual Stillman. Shout out to all of you guys tuning in. This is the Pro Chess League Week 9, and we are over 3,000 chess friends and fans from all over the world watching the penultimate week. This is the top team competition online, esports and chess, a fusion that you will want to see very often. Every week we are here broadcasting the Pro Chess League, and today Robert and I are focusing on the Eastern Division with some of the top teams, including the Tbilisi Gentlemen from Georgia and the Armenia Eagles from Yerevan.
Yeah, no, this is a very important match here because the Eagles need to keep winning. They
need to keep flying high. Yeah.
F5. I don't think I'm able to predict a single move in this game. That's actually a good move, though, because you're just chiseling at the pawn center, and if you can get rid of e4 pawn, then you get rid of the d5 pawn. That's very essential.
Wow. F5. I love that move too, but I definitely was not thinking of that move at first.
Yep. F5 just, I mean, now that I look at it, it's a good move. So, okay, maybe I should have been able to predict it if I could see the better moves, but F5 is very logical, and I think Meshkov is going down. I want to switch over to the Artsakh Manukyan game because that's also in this matchup and one of the games with not that much time remaining. So I just want to switch the other games here, and G4 was just played by Manukyan, trying to open up...
So aggressive.
Yeah, trying to open up Elvis King, but look what he did. He went knight to e4, and in the next few moves, knight g5 check will be played if you take on h3, and rook f7 is a pretty devastating threat, and he could have played that even last move, but rook f7 comes with an attack on the queen and a pin on the bishop, and it just looks like white is well ahead in this race to the attack.
Yeah, I agree with you that both kings seem to be vulnerable, and Artsakh is doing his best to try to attack the g1 king, but now with the knight on e4, this bishop on d5, the minor pieces of white are more active, even though it is black who has the pair of bishops.
Yeah. They say bishop's advantage usually. 2 bishops advantage. We always hear that. But here, the knight is very, very strong on e4. It's on a square that can't be kicked by a pawn, which makes it even better. And it's somehow material is actually going to be even if you take back on g4. But the position seems anything but even. I can even trade queens and be better. Because if I get a rook to the h-file, so rook f2 might be a great move. But if I play a rook to the h-file, not only are you going to lose your queen, but you're going to get checkmate. So queen h2 is also a good move. So I could take with my king on h2, put my king on g3, try to go rook h1 check. And at the end of the day, Anna, if I don't mate you, I have a passed b pawn and a passed c pawn, whereas black has no clear passed pawns. Like the g pawn, yes, is technically passed, but it's not advanced. So it looks
Yes,
just,
this is domination by white. Everything that Robert has pointed out just goes to show how much better white's position is, even though it's equal material and usually the pair of bishops would mean some kind of an advantage. Bishop e2 to attack both the rook and the pawn at the same time, but I don't think this is any dangerous. If rook h1 to threaten with a discovered check, once bishop takes d3 is on the board, that's almost mate.
yeah, actually there might be some kind of mating attack if I go knight g5 check first, king goes to h6, I go knight f7 check second, your king goes to h7, then I go king to g3 check, and, well, your king is in big, big, big trouble. Because if you go to g8, you're going into the line of fire of my bishop, and I can take on e5 with check and win your bishop on d3. So at the very worst case scenario in that line, it looks like material is being won. So Artak Manukyan offered a draw, and Elvis was like, no thank you.
You're kidding? He's got confidence. So what we have here is that a lower rated player, Artek Manukyan, is a very strong player. So he plays way better than his rating. But to offer a draw in a worse position when your rating is lower, that says a lot about his confidence, I think.
Either his confidence or his misevaluation of the position. One or the other. Maybe both. You know, it's just like maybe he thought that white was just going to go knight check, and things like that. But look what has happened here. Bishop f6. Now bishop e4 is played. This bishop is on a great square, protecting d3, pressuring g6, stopping the rook from going to a8. And this is why bishops are better than knights. We talked about the advantage before. But the real advantage in the position is that white's light square bishop is dominant over black's light square bishop. So yes, black has these two bishops. You would like to make use of them. But in reality, it's this bishop on e4 that's the best piece on the board right now and should lead white to a promising advantage and, well, hopefully a win if you are an Estonia horse fan. But actually, bishop e7, where's that knight going?
Yes, I'm struggling to see if White actually came up with the best follow-up because we loved his position earlier, but right now it does look like Artak has improved his situation to some extent.
Yeah, for sure. Now that I'm looking at it, I guess because the knight can't go to anywhere except for b7. But if you go to knight b7, I can probably bishop takes d3 and distract your bishop from the defense of the knight. Right, the bishop is overloaded here, protecting both squares. Oof.
Yeah.
Something's gone wrong for Elvis in the last bunch of moves. So Artak Manukyan escaping here. c5.
And maybe now we'll see a draw offer from Elvis. Who knows? He declined the draw offer a few moves ago, but he may be regretting it if this goes downhill suddenly for White.
Someone asked a very good question, by the way. Why does knight need to move without rook g1? The problem with rook g1 is rook h8 check comes, and you have to move your king to the g file. And once you move your king to the g file, you're no longer going for what you were trying to do with rook takes g6 check, so I win your knight on d6 for free. So c5 take, and now rook takes b5 is probably good. d7, then just rook to b8 back. Yeah, that pawn's not advancing far enough. It needs to get to the promotion square, otherwise it's just going to become a quick target.
I think this game has actually turned in a sense that Artak maybe he evaluated the position better than anyone and he knew that it was draw all the way.
No way. I think Elvis just missed.
I'm just kidding.
No,
No, it was a lot of confidence though for a draw in that position.
Whoa. Okay, the Shansa-Gisyan game has a queen on the board and it's white's move. And what in the world is happening here? I guess Shansa-Gisyan's winning because he just got this queen, saying your rook on h1 is needed to protect your rook on h7. So I'm getting this queen, and if you take my queen, I'll win your rook for free. And very importantly, this rook on a6 covers the f6 square, so there's no knight f6 check. So it looks like Nikita Meshkov is actually lost here, despite what, there might be a bunch of checks, but king takes g7. Now, similar principle. Oh, okay, now you're just giving up. So queen d2 check or something like that should be lights out. Queen c2, any check on the second rank.
Indeed, just moving the queen away from being under attack with a check, then a couple of more checks can follow, and this is simply a queen for a rook. So a rook is not enough material for the queen. Those of you who are new here, I see we are over 3,300 chess fans from all over the world. Welcome to the stream. And just a reminder to those of you who may not be that familiar with chess streams that this is the top chess team competition online with some of the best players from all over the world. 5 continents take part of the Pro Chess League, and we cover it every single week, twice a week. This is the penultimate week of the traditional season. Then we will see playoffs starting in 2 weeks' time.
Yep, and the playoffs will be very exciting because elimination format, teams that have the higher seed will get drawed. So if it ends in an 8-8 tie, well, the team that was higher seeded did better in the regular season, gets the win for that. So the Armenia Eagles, the Tbilisi Gentlemen are leading this particular division. I'm going to pull up the scoreboard with all the... Oop, I messed this up. Let me not do that because I got to edit that scene. It means some things happen, edit it around without me looking. So I will stay here until I can fix that later. But right
Yay.
now, so many technical difficulties. Having a rough day at the office. And by the office, I mean my home because that's where I'm streaming from. But
I'm also at home. This is the 21st century. We are watching the top international competition online. Robert is at home in New York. I'm at home in Spain. And you guys are watching from wherever you are. Please let us know, by the way, where you are at the moment and what time it is. For me, it's already almost 6 in the evening.
it's almost 6 in the evening. For me, it's 11:41 a.m.
We are time travelers. There's no geography. There's no time. There are no limits in chess. Everything is just one big union, one harmonious space out here on Twitch.
Well, you said no time, and I immediately had to go to the Samvelter Sahakian game against My Narva because neither player has much time, and My Narva might be landing a big upset here. She is up in exchange. Both players have under 30 seconds left, and with the black pieces, her position looks excellent. She can play a move like G4. She went knight E4. Okay, that's a very logical move, but G4, trying to eliminate this knight from the F3 square and then start launching an attack of her own. She went H5 with that very intention of playing G4, but I don't think that pawn move was necessary to play the G4. But still, Samvelter Sahakian 4. Oof, barely got that move off. G4, play it. Train G4, do it. There it is.
Do it. Do it.
Look at this bishop on H2,
Do
Anna.
it.
G3 is happening
Chat,
next.
will he do it? Will he do it? Chat.
So she's doing it. My Narva is doing just work.
Oh, sorry. My is with the black pieces. So yeah, she went for it.
Don't you have to be more supportive? Didn't you pick her for your team? Queen D4 check, lights out. The knight on G3 takes
I
it.
have picked her. But I'm getting nervous because she's about to do it. She's about to do it.
Yeah, she's going Rook D1. She could have went Queen D4 check and said, Queen D4 check. No!
Yeah.
No, she keeps missing Queen D4 check. Bishop F7. She's fortunate that she still has a great position here, but things have been going south. Queen F3. No! Queen F3, trade those. Okay, this is actually winning too. But Queen F3 was the move that I always wanted to play. Just to...
I'm getting a heart attack. Don't step into a perpetual check. You are on my fantasy team. It's so important. It's all about Greg and me fighting it over in the fantasy league. You can do it, Do it.
Yeah.
No draw. No draw. Don't go for the perpetual. Don't repeat moves.
Bishop E8.
Don't.
She'll go Bishop
Don't.
E8. Don't freak out. What? No! Queen E8.
Woo!
No. She's making your life as nerve-wracking as possible here. So Bishop G6 still has this pin with the rook here. What can she do here now? Rook E2, knight H4, knight H4. Okay, protect.
Okay, this is still an advantage, but she's got 14 seconds left versus 4 seconds by Samvel. There's Sahayan.
King F7 going towards the center. She's brave. Blocking with the queen. Okay, so
She's a hero.
So something, Bishop E4, she's trying to make progress this way. What can she do now? Ooh, Bishop H7, that can't be the move you wanted to play.
Interesting move.
Queen E4, protect your bishop and whoa, King E6.
Both players have no time. It's down to the wire.
King C8, run that king to the queen side. I love it. The knight on H4 is trapped, which is very important. Rook E3 check. Okay, Queen E3.
And she goes for the queen trade. So there will be no mate, but this endgame should be winning. There's not that much material though, so she has to be careful.
Gosh, this is a nerve-wracking game. So now she wins the B pawn, and that should be game over at this point. The take on B. Oh, I like that move, Bishop E4.
Okay, she can still take it.
And she wanted to trap the knight.
Time.
She trapped the knight on H4. We'll put the rook on C4 and then push the pawn down. Okay, this is a great technique at that moment. So My Narva gave us all a scare, but the Estonia horses will be very happy that she is winning this game. That freaked us both out, but she earned that win.
Wow.
Whew.
I had like 3 almost heart attacks during this game, but my Narva, congratulations, well done. I always root for the female players. There are a couple of female players in every division, and my Narva is on my team, on my fantasy team. Greg Shahade, this is it. I'm going for you.
Yeah, I hope you get that money off of Greg. But I think,
Yay! Shout out to Harlem Night too, one of the female streamers that we all love here on Twitch. Some more love to female chess players and female streamers. Guys, in the chat, show your favorite emotes for the female players this time. I'm calling. It's a call to action. Let's get more girls and women into chess because I think chess is a cool game that both guys and girls and women and men should be playing. I don't think this is a gender issue. Everyone should be included in chess always.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. Everyone should play chess because it's a great game and it's just, it's fun. And what's not fun, by the way, though, is SL Narayanan, he's lost his connection. So I'm on this game between
no?
Vladimir
You're kidding.
Mikhailovsky and SL Narayanan, and I see a red line, which means it says member offline. So hopefully he can...
Offline. How
Yeah.
much time he has? Let me check also the game. Internet connection, unfortunately, is part of the game in an online tournament. So the players need to make sure that their internet is the best possible they can have. Yesterday, we witnessed a painful loss for the St. Louis Archbishops when Alejandro Ramirez, playing from Kazakhstan, he's at the World Team Championship. He's the captain of the U.S. women's team. He's there at a very strong competition, being a coach, playing from 4 a.m. to 7 in the morning. That's dedication. But he lost his last game due to disconnection.
Yeah, and it looks like SL Narayanan is taking one out of Alejandro's playbook right now because his position with the black pieces looks quite good to me. As what's the situation here? Even material, but the knight on g5 actually looks almost trapped. If I go h6, I don't know. The position just looks good for black because white has all of his forces aiming at the king side, but the one bishop on g6 protects everything. It protects f7, so you don't have to worry about that. And so it looks good for black, but member is offline.
Yes, sorry, I confused the usernames. I was thinking of Ham's Knight, yes, but also shout out to Harlem Knight. There's so many knights out there on Twitch that I am confusing the usernames. Apologies, but shout out to both female and male streamers. No discrimination.
Yep, indeed.
So will he make it back? He's got 4 minutes left and no connection at the moment.
Hopefully he gets back here because we need to see a move. But let's go to a different game while it's figured out.
Yes, we will keep an eye on this because this is about Narayan having only 3 minutes and 41 seconds to get back his internet working, log in on chess.com and make a move. Like this is what he has to do for his team.
Yeah, so let's go to a different game so we don't just sit and wait and, tick tock. Let's go to the game between Vaibhav Suri and Maxim Chigayev. That's a powerful matchup between two very strong GMs. And right now we see with this position that black has a pawn all the way on b2 and is down a pawn but has the best pawn on the board. And it's black's move. And Anna, because I don't know, I'm throwing it right to you. Which pawn do you take, a4 or g4?
Always giving me these easy questions, right?
Yeah, the easiest.
Robert.
The easiest. I'm lobbing them up to you so you could have a slam dunk. And he takes neither.
Definitely. This is my moment to shine.
Yes. So which pawn are you going to take next? The g4 pawn. Oh, he answered
He has
for us.
answered. He has answered.
You did that on purpose. You were purposely just waiting it out a little bit because it was a tough decision. And you're like, oh, look.
Actually, it was a very difficult question, so I wasn't sure about the answer. But I like the fact that black has a pass pawn on b2. So you guys know that pass pawns are important in chess, and the more advanced, the more dangerous they are. Actually, a pass pawn that is on the third or second rank, so that is just a few squares away from promotion, is said to be of the value of a piece, of a minor piece. So this b2 pass pawn is extremely strong. Luckily for white, he's controlling the promotion square with both the bishop and the rook on h1. And at the same time, he's protecting his a4 pawn. And right now, the rook before the c4 pawn is hanging too. So it's not an easy situation. Will he try to defend it? But if king c3, bishop e2.
So when bishop d3 here, and now this is what I was wondering and why I like to take on g4. Can I go bishop f5? I know it's going to give me these ugly double pawns, but if I play bishop f5 and you take me on f5, now I'm threatening b1 equals queen, I'm threatening a4, I'm threatening c4. Once I take c4, f4 and d5 are hanging. So I think I'm winning all your pawns. Just for, I get double pawns, but I win all your remaining pawns.
Yeah,
And here comes
certainly that's the situation.
the ambulance. I hear it.
Yay! I was waiting for my moment to shine also in terms of my emote game now that I'm a subscriber to Robert's channel. By the way, those of you who don't have the ambulance emote and some of the other cool emotes from Robert's channel like the Hasbay, hover your mouse over to Robert's side. So if you move your mouse to Robert's side, a little bit down to where the pairings are and the scoreboard, you can click on his channel and hit that follow button and also subscribe if you want to get the emotes. That's what you should do. Mouse down to where the scoreboard is in between Robert and the scoreboard and click on Robert's channel right now. I'm asking you.
This
for
was
me.
paid advertising brought to you by... No, I didn't. I didn't even ask you to do that, so thank you, Anna. But I will be streaming a lot more coming up. It'll be announced soon, but a lot of streaming coming up in my near future. So be on the lookout for that. But right now, we got Suri Vaibhav down a pawn in a bad end game. Will he be able to hold this? Because the Moscow Phoenix are already up 5-4. And remember, 8 points is the threshold that you need to cross. So 8.5 points out of 16 wins the match for your team. And Suri Vaibhav needs to hold this end game. Otherwise, the Phoenix will go up 2, and Delhi Dynamite's playoff hopes will be totally lost.
Yes, this is crucial, and 8.5, the threshold. Robert said, 8 points. 8-8 will be a tie, and 8.5 is a team win. So the Moscow Phoenix are very close to clinching this important win. The Phoenix being the bottom team, if we can just bring up the standings for a moment, the Phoenix are fighting for their lives. So it's about the qualification spots. The top 4 teams in every division make it to the playoffs, but the bottom 2 teams, it's so important not to finish at the bottom 2 spots because they will be relegated from the Pro Chess League and they will need to play a qualification tournament if they want to be back next year, which is really, really sad, I know.
Oh, that's why you don't want to get relegated? I thought it was just because they don't want to be made fun of by us. That was really where I was going with it.
Oh, we don't make fun of the players ever. Like, have you seen the new chess.com emote? Guys, have you seen the new chess.com emote? I'm going to use it in the chat right now. We never make fun of the players.
Whoa.
Exclamation mark. This happened yesterday on air. A player from the Webster Windmills fell asleep right on air during our broadcast, and we had a sleep watch camera on him. We paused for a moment. We didn't care about the chess moves. What we cared about was whether this gentleman had enough sleep and whether his nap time was efficient.
Yeah, that was actually hilarious. I was watching that, and I know you were commenting live, and I don't even know who that was, but it was passed out. And while we were talking about him sleeping, Suri Vaibhav was not sleeping on the position. In fact, he just drew this game as his king, very importantly. And we went a7. The king has to go to b7. And once you take the pawn c5, it's all about the square, right? You don't need me to draw this, but I love doing it. So just all...
Draw it.
Oh, it's happening. Don't worry. You don't got to...
Robert the artist. Robert the artist.
Here it is. So if you're in the square, right, this 5x5 here, and the pawn's in g5, as long as your king is in the square of the pawn, you're catching it. So black ended up taking this pawn on a7, but I was able to come back with my king, and that's exactly what happened. So as we saw in the game, g4, and he pre-moved king g1, but the pawn was lost. So let's go to a different game. We're done with this one. How did Narayanan ever come back, or did he, like when you remember he was away from the board for a while?
Good question. And the 4 minutes are gone. So we should see whether he made it back at the board, the disconnected player. Did he manage to come back to chess.com and make a move on the board?
No idea. No idea.
I don't see his game. I don't see him.
I'm trying to look here.
Can you find him?
He lost because
Ooh.
I think he just didn't show back up again.
That's bad luck. Guys, it's part of the game. The
Actually,
internet
he did show up and he just lost on the board, it looks like.
Oh, okay. Now that feels somewhat better. It feels bad, man, for the loss, but at least it wasn't due to the disconnection. So he fought, he tried, but it wasn't enough.
Yes, a 96 came on the board. He took it, and it looks like Black is doing well, but what happened? He probably missed some sacrifice. He moved his knight away to g4, and by going knight to g4, he simply hung his bishop on g6 on move 33. Knight g4 was a big mistake. That knight was keeping his bishop safe.
Ouch.
Could have won bishop f7. Very good position for Black. Instead went knight to g4, and, well, this was just over. So, yikes.
Robert, you have a new nickname thanks to Sentimental Returns. He's saying you are Robert Tablo Robicasso.
That's a mouthful. I don't know if I like it, but yeah, that's too much for me. I don't know if I
I
can.
love it. He's one of my favorite painters, and now Robert is one of my favorite
Oh
painters
yeah,
of all time.
Robicasso is also one of my favorites. I don't know how we've never spoken about this before.
Robert Casso is amazing. I've been to several exhibitions of Robert Casso in New York.
I picked up the game between German Bazayev and Boris Shevchenko, and the last move, rook takes rook on a8, is a big problem for Black, because if you take back on a8, queen d8 check, king b7. Oh, he resigned before I could even show it. And the reason why he resigned is queen a7 is a checkmate in 1. But if after rook a8, if you take on a8, queen d8 check, king b7, queen to b8, check and mate. So German Bazayev, and that name seems very familiar. I believe he did very well in the World Rapid and Blitz tournament. He
Yes.
beat like Svidler and people like that. So this is a talented player from Russia who is very strong at the quicker time controls, and he just beat a very strong player in Boris Shevchenko.
Yes, Boris Shevchenko struggling today. He's the top board of the Moscow Wizards, and he hasn't been doing very well. We saw a couple of games where he was on the defensive, having the disadvantage, and this one was a painful loss. What a beautiful mate with queen b8.
Yeah, that is a pretty finish there. And I see, once again, there's some time trouble going on, and this is between Levan Pansulai and, of course, Abhimanyu Puranik. I don't know why I say of course. I just feel like every single time I see his game, he's in time trouble. But here, with the white pieces, Anna, I don't know about you, but Black's king being stuck in the center doesn't look
I
ideal.
love it. I love it. These are the games I like the most. Let's see if the king in the middle of the board can be punished. King d8. Whoa, where are you going?
The answer is nowhere, right? Because rook to e1 then takes away the e-file, and after rook e1, where does your queen go? If you go queen to g6, I'll go bishop a5 with check, and after king to c8, I'll go queen c3 with check, and after king b8, I'll go bishop c7 with check, and after king a8, no more checks, but I'll go d7 and get my queen. So that looks really, really painful for Black.
Pansulaya has been struggling these past couple of weeks. So did Badur Jabava, who is not playing today, by the way. He always fights for the gentleman on their top board, but today Badur Jabava is not on the lineup. Sometimes it happens that their top players cannot play due to a different competition where they participate, or simply Badur thought that, well, he should give the floor to his teammates too. It's 4 players per team every week.
Yeah. But so unfortunately for Jabal fans and for Tbilisi fans, well, Jabal was not here today, but they already have won their match against the Movers. They were up 8.5, 2.5 last I checked. So I think we can stay on this game because Puranik should have a knockout punch soon with bishop a5 check. Here it is. And I think he'll just go forward with queen c3 check next. And he'll win this game, but it's too little too late for Movers fans, which is great news for the Dynamite, except for the fact that the Dynamite are getting crushed by the Moscow Phoenix. That's not good for them at all.
Totally. It's not good news. And even though Pantsula is going down in this game that we were witnessing, it's still a team win for the gentlemen, and the points matter. So even though the Georgians have won this match already, they will try to collect as many points as possible and keep their top place in the Eastern Division. They are being chased by the Armenia Eagles, and the Eagles, they are also winning their match against the Horses. We shall see who can score more points. So they are going to win, both teams, it looks like.
Yep.
But it does matter with what difference they win the match, how many points they can collect.
Yeah, and none of the matches today are particularly close. Yesterday, there's some great excitement. Okay, they didn't seem close. One it was 8-4 in favor of the mechanics, and yet they came back and the Blizzard came back and managed to tie that matchup. So, maybe 7.5, 4.5 in favor of the Phoenix, but there's still a chance as long as there are games to be played. On the other hand, the Eagles are up 5.5, 2.5, and I see some of their games here. We have Nordibek Yakubayev with the white pieces against Artak Manukyan. It looks nice for Nordibek, and it looks like he played the same exact line that Haik Martirosyan beat him with, right? We saw that amazing Queen D6 checkmate idea, and it's not, look at this. He just goes after the H7 pawn, the exact same idea. And for Artak Manukyan, when you give up a pawn, you need to have quick counterplay. But here, I think white is up a pawn and has the better dynamics in the position. I would play pawn to b4 for Yakubayev because you're just challenging the c5 pawn and you're forcing a capture in the center, in which case white will be reinforced and have a safe position. So I really like Yakubayev's position against Artak Manukyan.
I agree with you, and it unfortunately reminds me of a very bad French defense since the bishop is still stuck on b7 and the pawn is missing from h7.
What was that? Can you repeat that? I didn't quite hear you. My ears are a little off today.
I know. You told me that you need to see the doctor about your hearing. It reminds me of a bad French defense.
Yeah. So I took my ear. I muted. I muted you for a second. Can you one more time?
It reminds me of a bad French defense.
I don't mean to make you cry, but yeah. I'm sorry, Anna. I just never French. Just never French. So that's all I got to say to you.
I know. I'm going to use your emote. You're going to use...
Oh, I can't wait to see.
I'm going to use the emote. This is the moment. And oh boy. Totally. Oh boy.
There it is. Oh boy. Oh boy. When I get excited and, this crazy chess happening, the oh boy I can't help it. It's not like I'm playing to say it just happens. So that's why I have that emote as well. So I'm taking a breath because you just said this looks like a bad French defense, which is redundant because all French defenses look bad. But we can talk about that later. You were agreeing with me, even though this is a Caro-Kann. But let's go away from this game. I don't want to hurt your feelings anymore. To the game between Haik Martirosyan and Jan Elvis, because a nice move was just played here, or at least it looks like a nice move, was knight to d7 by Martirosyan. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. The point being that if the rook takes d5, knight takes f6 is a check, the g-pawn is pinned, and I'll win this rook on d5. So you can't take my queen or you lose material, but instead you can just take this knight on d7, and after queen takes d7, I'm looking down this h-file and thinking, can I just swing my rook over to h5 and go for a swift checkmate? And let's see, there have been moves played. Bishop d7, queen d7, Elvis, rook e to h5 feels like the most obvious move in the world, just going directly for a checkmate attack.
Yeah, it's hinting at a mating one on h1. I agree with you that should be the move to go with, even if there is a defense. So after rook e to h5, white shall either play rook to h3 or try to move the f-pawn to create some space for the king. I don't know how effective it can be. f3, I'm a little I'm doubting whether there will be trouble coming on the dark squares if, for instance, queen e5, the rook is hanging, and queen e3, rook h1. Ouch.
Yeah. Anna, that's interesting. Instead of f3, queen e8 check was possible. King h7, bishop d3 check. g6, bishop takes g6 with check. And the point is, if you take with the pawn on g6, white is going to lead the attack first with rook d7 check. But there was a crazy tactic after bishop g6 check. I go queen takes g6, winning a free piece effectively because you can't take my queen on g6 as there's a checkmate on the h1 square. So there was a nice potential queen sacrifice, which is why this idea for Martirosyan did not pan out. And instead of playing for queen e8 check and bishop d3, went for f3. And Anna, I do like your decision. Queen e5 is an excellent move. Going for the queen c5 check or the rook on g3 hanging and stopping queen e8 check in the process. Queen e5 is a great move here.
Honestly, I don't see a defense of their queen e5. I wish I could come up with something, but how do you defend at the same time the g3 square and the e3 square or queen c5? So it's not just queen e3 check, but also queen c5. So queen e5, king f2, I don't believe that that move can work. It's just no, no, no,
Yeah, can you say no one more time because I'm agreeing with you so
no,
much? No. But but
no,
but but yes, I agree with you, but no. No, no. Just can't have this
no.
happen. The king is either
It's not working. It's
being
on the board. Queen e5 has just been played by Elvis, and he's going to win this game against Martyros, and it's super important for the horses because they are trailing 3 points behind the Eagles. So this win can actually make the gap a little closer. They are getting there, but it's still tough, the match between the Eagles and the horses.
yeah, the good news for them is there actually is some time left in this match. So if Estonia can have a great round in this particular round with Elvis winning, we see that I'm going to go over the game between Shant Sargsyan and Mai Narva. Mai Narva looking like she has a tough task ahead of her because the position is even in terms of material. But look at Black's pawn structure, the diamond. You don't see this very often with the f7, e6, f5, g6 situations, a diamond over there, and bishop can come to f6 right now, and you're going to lose this d4 pawn, it looks like. I mean, unless I don't, oh, actually, bishop f6, you might have h3 to force the knight to take you on e3, and you take with a pawn to protect d4, but still, black is the only one with chances in the position like this because black's pawn base is very solid, whereas white's is a little bit more vulnerable to black's pieces. So bishop f6 is
Yeah,
what's
bishop
played.
f6 is on the board, and it's a good question that you have raised, Robert. How can white deal with this hanging pawn? I think Shan Sargsyan is doing what he does every single week, basically. I feel like whenever we look at his game, he wins. So I don't know why he's not on 4-0 every week.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Isn't he one of the MVPs, like, of all time?
Yep, he's really playing strong chess. And he takes on e3, plays e5, so that looks good. If you take on e5, then I have a direct attack on your pawn on g3. And so she does take, and how is she going to protect it? Is she going to king g2, or is she going to do something else? Because king g2, I'm very worried about rook to d2. And once this rook comes to d2, of course I'm attacking the bishop, but I'm also attacking this a2 pawn. So I still think rook d2 is a good move here, and Minerva has a really tough task ahead of her to hold the draw if she's able to.
Yeah, I think this is a very tough game for my... So let's move on to another one in this same match. We saw Jan Elvest doing very well. Has he given mate already, by the way? Can we just quickly look at that game one more time?
So bishop d3 check, and f5 is now an option as well, just to keep this pawn's protected twice. So f5 stops
Yeah.
the check and allows black to continue with, as you mentioned, the g3 rook's hanging, queen c5 check, queen e3 check, all these checks, hanging pieces. Pawn f5 looks like it just ends the deal in this position.
Yes, this is it. I don't actually see the reason why Elvest is thinking for that long. It looks to me that any pawn push that prevents the check, that is f5 or g6, should be just good enough to win on the spot. He goes for f5 and still the problem is the same. The rook on g3, queen e3 check, queen c5 check, multiple threats, rook h1 as well, and it has to be a lost position for Martyrosyan.
Yeah, not good news there for the Eagles, but we have some other games. We have Sam Vel Tersahakian here with the white pieces against Nikita Meshkov's, and interesting dynamic right here. Black is down a piece for 2 pawns, and there's a pawn on d3, which is both a good pass pawn, but also limiting this bishop on b1. That's a restricted piece, and by restricting that bishop, you're restricting the rook on a1. So white at some point would like to play a3, bishop a2, and then flip that bishop over to attack the f7 pawn, but it is black's move here, and move like rook to e8, piling up more pressure on the bishop on e3, which is pinned in 2 directions, pinned to the king on g1, pinned to the queen on e1. Now knight f1 looks necessary, but still looks like a shaky position for white. You need to play very accurately, not to just lose the next few moves.
Yes, it just happened. The moves that you have pointed out, rook to e8 and knight f1. What shall we look at as the candidate moves here for black? How do you see the follow-up? What shall it be?
Whew. So bishop e4 certainly comes to mind, attacking this rook on f3. right, just going after the rook. But I'm also thinking about just retreating my bishop to g6 and saying, I like where this pin is on the e-file and that diagonal, so I'm going to leave
Yeah.
the pin. It's more valuable to me than trying to win your rook on f3. So like bishop e4, my concern would be, well, I guess rook to g3 or h3, maybe my rook escapes on the rank. Or even bishop takes c5, saying, go ahead, take my rook if you want. After bishop f3, queen e5, rook e5, then I can just take back this bishop on f3, you take my bishop on c5, and now I take on d3, where white has a bishop and knight versus a rook and only one pawn. So that should be advantageous for white in that kind of endgame.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you that this pressure. By the way, shout out to all of you tuning in. I've just realized we are almost 6,600 chess fans from all over the world. This is the Pro Chess League. That is the top esports chess competition that you can follow the penultimate week of the traditional season. So everything is at stake. Which teams will make it to the playoffs? Which teams can qualify to fight for the title of the Pro Chess League? Teams from 5 continents, the best players from all over the world are competing in this online tournament that we broadcast every single week here on Twitch. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, welcome. And for those of you who were with us last night, well, the fun doesn't stop. We have this matchup right now in the matchups, I should say, in the Eastern Division, and right after us will be Danny Wrench and Alexander Botez covering the Central Division with stars like Maxime Vacher-Lagrave playing. You do not want to miss that division next. So, grab your lunch if you're on the East Coast like me. If you're on the West Coast, grab your breakfast, but don't go anywhere as well. This pawn just went to d2. So I said don't go anywhere, and then I saw this pawn went somewhere, but this doesn't look good for Meshkaz. I think you can just start taking all the bishops. Oop. If I can...
Yes, usually one would be scared of this d2 pawn, but it can be taken, and the bishop, if he takes the bishop takes f5. The problem with that move for black is that it also opens the back rank for the rook. So you see this rook on a1, it has no squares. It's a very passive piece, but after bishop takes f5, finally it's controlling the d1 square.
Yep, so after d1 I can just take it, and after rook takes d1 I take your bishop on c5. So I have 3 minor pieces for a lone rook. That's way too much material for black to deal with. So that's going to be a troublesome situation. So d2 does not look like it was the right move, but I understand why Meshkov's played it. It's going for tactics. So if bishop takes f5, he probably wants to throw in bishop takes e3, but the problem there is the rook takes on e3, and now your queen on e5 is under direct threat. So even if you get a second queen, I will be able to take both your queens in that position. So it's just very good here for Sanvelter Sahakyan, and very good indeed for the Armenia Eagles. So should we?
Yes, we see the Tbilisi Gentlemen and the Armenia Eagles are the top 2 teams in the division if we bring up the standings one more time.
Yep.
These 2 teams have more points than any other team in the Pro Chess League. And what we are witnessing today is that they are winning yet again. I don't know what these players eat or what they live on, how they train, but we need to know it. We need to know the secret of the Georgian and the Armenian teams because they are crushing the Pro Chess League.
Yeah, for sure. And I just put up the schedule here to remind everyone what's happening next is the Central Division coming your way. And it says March 5th, but March 7th is what it's supposed to say. So
yay!
That's today, March 7th. But right after this is the Central Division. And you can get all your information on the Pro Chess League website, prochessleague.com. So
that is the website, prochessleague.com. And also make sure to move your mouse over to Robert's side, right between Robert's camera and the scoreboard. You can click on Robert's channel and the Pro Chess League channel too. So the Pro Chess League has a separate channel for the Pro Chess League highlights shows. That's every day when there's no broadcast for the competition. Make sure to check that out with Bottom Chess, Levy, and the PCL Pro Chess Lessons by David Bruce.
Yep. Absolutely. Lots of different coverage happening. There's our commentary. There's a commentary with Danny and Alexandra. There's Wouter Bick and Levy Rosman doing the highlight shows. There's David Proust, as you mentioned, doing the lessons. Never too much Pro Chess League action. But let's go to this Delhi Dynamite Moscow Phoenix matchup because that is the final round. Remember, there are 4 rounds, and it's 4 people per team. You play everyone in the other team. When the 4th round happens, it's board 1 versus board 1, board 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4. So you're in your more even matchups, so to speak. And the Delhi Dynamite are in the final round here, and I looked at the Maxime Shigaev position against Abhijit Gupta, and that was what caught my eye. I was like, well, the Delhi Dynamite cannot afford to give up any more points, but isn't Maxime Shigaev just crushing Abhijit Gupta in this game? He's got a pawn on b7. He has a menacing attack on the queen side, and the king side, there's nothing going on there except white controlling that side of the board. So knight a5 with a threat of knight c6 check looks devastating. And there it's played. I just don't see it. D5 now for Chigaev. There it is.
Wow, the knight is coming to c6 and the bishop falls after rook takes a7. It is game over. And that will mean the winning point for the Phoenix. You see that a match is decided when they reach 8.5 points. So 1 point more, that is this victory by Chigaev, and the Moscow Phoenix beat the Dynamites. For the Dynamites, that's really sad news because we mentioned that probably the Moscow Phoenix will be relegated no matter what. They need a miracle battle royale next week to save the team. But the Dynamites, they still had a chance to qualify for the playoffs, not with today's defeat, I believe.
Yeah, they're doing very poorly throughout the season, but it's a shame for the Dynamite how well the Phoenix have done today because they've been very impressive. And from the very beginning of the match, they've been scoring important point after important point. And here, Maxime Shigaev is in stellar form, going right for the c6 square. There's no black piece that can cover it. Look at that bishop on a7. Even if I wasn't going over there to check and probably mate you, I don't even think that's worthy of being called a pawn here, right? That's just like, it's not doing anything.
I know.
Bishop's
it's just terrible. It looks like a gigantic pawn on a7, but it's worse than a pawn because it's going to be captured and it is supposed to be more valuable than a pawn,
right.
A bishop, but this is not functioning as a bishop. It goes to show, guys, that in chess, every piece has its value that we learn. A pawn is 1 point, a bishop and a knight 3 points or 3 pawns, a rook is 5, a queen is 9, but it depends on how active your pieces are. That is the actual value in the game that you are playing. So don't be confused that the bishop is always 3. No, that bishop on a7 is maybe -3.
That's hilarious. Yeah, and there's a resignation because you have to move your queen. You can't set knight c6 check, but -3 points for the bishop. I love that, Anna. And it really does go to show that the quality of your pieces is essential. And so this bishop on a7 is not doing anything. And like you said, because it's a bishop, you actually want to take it. If that was a pawn over there, all right, white's position would still be phenomenal. But the point is, like, when you have a bad minor piece, your opponent might go after it, so you have to like defend it. If it's a pawn, maybe you can just get rid of the pawn and get some activity as compensation, but you can't just give up a piece and still try to play on. So a nice win there for Maxime Shigaev. This match is over. The Moscow Phoenix are now 8.5 points, and they have crossed the 8-point threshold needed to win the match. And so the Delhi Dynamite, it looks like their playoff hopes are close to being over because the Mumbai Movers may have lost the match against the Gentlemen today or in the process of losing the match, but the Dynamite have not picked up any ground. And if we just pull up the standings one last time here, or one more quick time, the Delhi Dynamite were in 5th place, 22 points below the Movers, so they really needed to gain ground. And reminder that you gain 10 points in addition to the match points you score, the individual game points. Let's say you score 10-6. You get an additional 10 points. You're actually scoring 20 points in the standings. So there, the extra incentive, if you need any more to win your matches, is that extra 10 points. So
yes, there will be more points up for grab at the Battle Royale, but yes, it does look like the Dynamites will need a miracle. They will need to win the Battle Royale and the Movers would need to do extremely poorly so that they can recover from this huge gap that already has been built up between these two teams. So we are witnessing that 4 teams are almost sure to qualify in the Eastern Division, the top 4 teams. But depending on the Battle Royale, next week, we will know for sure who are the teams that will fight for the title. And remember, guys, the finals of the Pro Chess League, May the 4th, be with you, May the 4th and the 5th, will be live on site. The location will be announced soon on chess.com. So I'm so excited. I don't know where I'm traveling to. Robert will be there. Danny will be there. Alexander Bottas will be there. I will be there. Come and hang out with us on May the 4th and the 5th.
Well, hang out with you. Don't hang out with me. I'm not that fun. I'm the serious one. Anna, you're the fun one. You give great chess advice. You eat chocolate. Oh, I owe you a chocolate. I just remembered that. As soon as I said I
This is a box I got from Robert, but he owes me even more chocolate. Yes, thank you for reminding me.
I totally had forgotten until I said the word chocolate. And then I'm like, wait a second. I definitely owe you chocolate. Thanks, Anish. Anish, if you're watching, it's your fault. I blame you.
Thank you, Anish. Family support. Sopika and Anish, I consider them part of my family. She's my best friend and, well, he's married to my best friend. So yeah, he did it. He did it for the family.
So do they call that like best friend-in-law? Like how does that work, right? You know, if you,
Oh, I love it. Best friend-in-law.
I think that's what
Yeah,
we have to go with here.
I
And
like it. I like it.
so,
There we go, the Anish emote in the chat. He plays for the Chess Bros, and he did play this season. He has been sitting on the lineup of the Chess Bros for years and years, and there was a question whether he would ever play a game for the Chess Bros. He did it this season, and we hope to see him in the playoffs or maybe next week at the Battle Royale.
yeah, Anish, we're all hoping for him to play more, right? We all love seeing Anish Giri play, one of the best players
Yeah.
in the universe, but he's busy doing, I don't know, real world things, responsibilities, trying to
What
become,
do you mean by real world things? Don't you think that this is as real as it can be?
well, instead of getting mad online, he goes offline and prepares himself to try to qualify for the candidates and compete for the world championship title. I agree with you.
Bah.
This is a big deal. Oh, here comes the ambulance. So the ambulance is for what I was just
Yay!
saying clearly. But,
Get your ambulance emote out there, chat. This is on Robert's channel.
oh,
My favorite emote from Robert, and also the Hasbay, because you cannot pronounce Chesbay, shout out to Chesbay as usual, without saying Hasbay.
I I can just, no, I'm just going to try to say something. I had nothing there for you. Really nothing. And I'm just going to pull up game. The problem is in these matchups, the match is already over. And that's really deflating as a commentator because you just want like very interesting fighting matchups. So right now, Armenia just won this game, so they're up by a ton. Volga just needs half a point. So let's go look at Volga's games. Artak Manukyan is playing an interesting game here against Noribek Yakubayev. And wow, the queens are getting, this actually game is very interesting. Ooh,
Yeah, we still have lots of exciting games. I think it's as exciting as usual. Yes, it's true that some of the matches or most of the matches are already decided, but the games are still exciting. And remember, the game points matter. So it doesn't matter that a team has won already. Apart from the 10 points they get for the team win, they want to collect as many game points as possible. So every game matters.
Yep. And Ivar asked, why do you hear an ambulance? Do I live near a hospital? I don't live that close to a hospital, but I'm in New York City. So there are always trucks going by, ambulances blaring their sirens, police cars, just normal cars, people who have, the car alarm goes off and they're way too slow to get to their car. I can go on and on. You get the point. So.
Can you believe it? I still haven't been to New York. It's like
Sorry.
I've been to so many places,
Sorry.
but not New York.
Can you repeat that really quickly for me?
I haven't been to your city, Robert, and it's like one of the best places in the world to visit, and I still haven't been there.
Anna, that's going to have to change. I've never been to Hungary, so I can't act like I'm Mr. Perfect over here. I'm definitely not. So,
But you have been to Spain. Don't tell me you haven't been to Spain.
no, I've been to Spain, but only one time. I need to go back. I should go back.
Did you play one of the World Youth Championships?
No, I played in Barcelona, that round robin tournament, casino, in the casino. It was like the worst tournament of my life. But, oh, wait.
Okay, let's not go there. You have never been to Spain because bad memory should be erased. Yes, I agree. You haven't played in Spain ever.
Oh, look at this ending, by the way. Knight e4 is coming, and then white plays at knight e4, f7, king takes 7, king g7, and Artak Manukyan is going to see a queen appear on the board for his opponent, and he is not going to be happy about that. So knight e4 played, f7, king takes e7, king g7, all is going to appear. Here it is, and this is game over. Artak Manukyan goes down. Despite playing a very nice endgame, he loses this one.
Yeah, he has fought so hard. He's the captain of the Armenia Eagles, and we love the Armenia Eagles because we are totally unbiased. And it's not like they have brought us lots of gifts when we saw them at the finals. They are the defending champions. And the whole team came with, 20 suitcases to the United States just so that they could give us all sorts of souvenirs from Armenia.
Yeah.
So sweet.
There's a great question by D4 about not knight c4. And the problem with knight c4, it's a good-looking move for sure. But it doesn't stop my pawn from going to f7 and the same exact thing happening. that would be a big problem. So f7, you can give me a check, but then I just go here. If you take this pawn, I take with my king, and I'm getting a queen no matter what. So good chess question. And you're right, Anna. I didn't want to talk about the bribery, but I guess we should. Artak Manukyan at the finals of the Pro Chess League where Armenia won, he brought some nice gifts, some mugs, some adult beverages, and
Adult beverages.
yeah,
I love the way you put it. But it's true that there are limits. So you can't just go to the United States and bring in lots of things, including adult beverages. So he had to split the bottles between the players. That is, every player had to carry part of the souvenirs in their suitcase to make sure that they would have no trouble at the border.
Yep. Yes, that was funny. Yeah, he's like, I unpacked his suitcase and put some of that in there, and then he got it to us. So I had this game up between Dmitry Kryakvin and Suri Vaibhav because it's a very fascinating position where white is rolling this A pawn down the board, but it looks like black has a draw here, but it's going knight f3 check back to e1. So it looked like it was going to be a big attack. White got out of it and just started pushing the pawns. So this looks like a fair result here as they continue to repeat moves. And the problem for black is if you go h3 check, you do win this bishop on f1, but king g3, rook take f1, be careful, rook g1 is checkmate, so go king takes g4, and now the issue is rook a1 is met by rook to a5, where I'm going to have this pass a pawn and into a winning endgame. So
indeed, so black should go for the draw. And there's a game though where it is going to be mate, I believe. I have a feeling that we're going to see a beautiful mate on the board between Harshit Raja and Nika Volkov, your good friend Nika Volkov with the black pieces. He's going down in this game.
yeah, his king is wide open. There's a bishop on f4 covering the diagonal. Bishop takes e8 is a rook that can be captured, but I don't even want the rook c1 might be the best move here, just saying, all right, your queen's on the same line as your king. I'm in it for the discoveries. Rook c1, queen takes rook on d4, bishop takes e4 check, bishop takes e8 check, some kind of bishop move. Bishop e4 check looks great. Your king has to go to the d file, and then go rook d1 and win your queen. So looking totally hopeless for Nika Volkov here. Just a couple of precise moves by Harshit Raja, and it looks like game over.
Yes, I wonder what should be the strongest move here. It's just looks like there's going to be something happening on the c file soon. You see the king on c8 and the queen on the c file. So the two most important pieces being on an open file, that's usually not a good sign in chess.
Not at all. And
now I had an ambulance. Did you guys hear it?
really?
Wow, it's happening. It doesn't happen very often where I live.
Wait, you had an ambulance? Because I did too.
Oh, double ambulance. Let's get some hype for the double ambulance happening on air. This is the Pro Chess League, and all that matters is that people are saving other people's lives, because that's a bit more important than a chess game probably.
I would happen to agree with that, but only on Thursday. Today is Thursday, right?
Today is Thursday.
So any other day, no, chess is more important. But today, yeah, we can go with saving lives as the priority. But I'm looking at the chess.com TV chat here. I see Rasta J says never been to North America, and just reading, catching up here.
Sure, yeah, I'm also reading the chat now, and people are praising your beard. I agree with the chat, Robert, that I like your style for today's broadcast. Although some of the comments earlier were about whether your mom would approve of not shaving.
Well, thankfully, I'm old enough where I don't really need my mother's approval, or so I try to convince myself. I'm always like, oh, I don't care what my mom thinks, but no, I love my mom, so when she says something, I take it to heart. But it just kind of happened out of sheer laziness, and it wasn't long enough where it was bothering me, so I just kept it. If we, have to get into the specifics of my grooming.
I think it's a cool style, but I remember you told us last week that your mom told you to shave because you were going to a conference. Can you remind us about what happened last weekend, by the way?
No, I can't. I've forgotten about it, so I don't, I don't know what you're talking about. No, just the Sloan Analytics Conference at
Just Sloan Analytics Conference,
it's just
artificial intelligence, it's just that kind of casual chat.
It's just a thing that happened to be there. It was fun, and yeah. Joe Bruin. Hess has his beard out for Beardson.
Oh.
I mean, Beardson is awesome. What a player. That guy's just really good at chess. So, yeah. I mean, I really wish these matches were closer. I understand the chess is still exciting, but there's something that, like, takes away from the excitement for me as a commentator when I'm like, okay, it's 8-4. They just need a half more point, or the other matches are 8.5, 4.5, 9.5, 4.5. If you watch basketball and if something like that, and it's a 20-point game, it's not nearly as exciting as when the game is very close. I don't know.
I'm gonna change the system, and since most of the matches are decided, I want to ask you guys in the chat. There are over 7,000 of you watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. And question to you, pay attention. Which team will score the highest number of points today? So yeah, most of these teams have won the match already, or they are about to win the match. But I want to know from you, which teams will make it the highest score and what score they will achieve. So remember, how many points are up for grab, Robert? How many points, the maximum?
16.
16. Now, 16, nobody can do it anymore because their opponents have also scored. But what will be the highest score and which team will make it? Let us know in the chat right now.
Pretty safe bet for the gentleman, because if I'm going for this, so I know I'm not really part of this, but let's see the score. So the gentlemen have a full point more than the Phoenix. So, but the Volga Stormbringers, that's actually, they have an opportunity here as well. So
what do you think, Robert? So which team and what score? I'm asking also you about the score.
I think the best score will be...
That's a good number. I didn't know about that.
I'm trying to figure it out. The best score will be by Andrew Lloyd Webber. Can I just do that? Can I? Just felt like I don't know how to answer this. So let me go.
I love it.
Yeah, I just was inspired by the music,
Then I'm gonna go for Morricone.
Okay.
I love film tunes. Like I could listen to the Spotify playlists of like any movie hits, just like all the instrumental epic music.
So
that I love.
Did you see A Star Is Born?
I haven't seen it yet, but I love the songs from the album. I wanna watch so badly the movie. I try to find the right moment when I'm not too tired to watch it to appreciate how good that movie is. Have you seen it already?
Yeah, I've seen it. I won't spoil anything for you, but it's definitely worth a watch.
Oh, I love Lady Gaga as an artist, and Bradley Cooper. You don't need to ask me about him.
I clearly not. I don't need to ask you about him because your reaction says it all. No, the movie was really, really good, though, I thought. And, Lady Gaga, of course, is exceptional singer. I don't know what chess to talk about. I should talk about chess, but I'm having more fun talking about...
the Oscars.
Yeah.
Look at the chat. Look at the chat going for a win. For like the gentleman will have the top score. Volga will have the top score. Volga going for 12 points. I see gentleman 10.5. Volga for 11.5. 10.5 for the gentleman. The Wizards with 13. Gentleman 11 points. I see so many different answers. I'm curious how many of you will be right. So you gotta stay here. You gotta stay with us for the next. How much time is left, actually, Robert?
Too much time. Too much time.
We have half an hour to see who will be right. How many of you have guessed the right score? What do we have as a prize? Robert will sing for you.
I did sing yesterday on stream, but that's probably not going to happen. Hey, Chess Bay.
But can we do it again? I need a prize for the winners.
Do you see Midnight Rhino?
Robert will sing for you.
Did you see Midnight Rhino going, "We broke Robo Hess"? I don't want to talk about chess. That's very funny. I do.
I'm gonna find exciting positions for you. So, hey, true, the matches are decided, but the games, every game matters. And hey, hello, this is still the Pro Chess League penultimate week. Everything is at stake. So we gotta see which games will score the highest number of points. And you guys should guess it. Yes, keep going in the chat. Keep guessing which teams will do the best, how many points. You can change your mind. So if you look at the games, you can keep going, changing your mind. It's okay. Happens to Robert and me. We keep changing our mind about the evaluation of the games. That's what we do usually. What about the game between Korchmar and Dorjieva? I want to talk about Dinara because we haven't looked at her games.
Ooh,
How do
okay.
you
Dinar
like this position?
Georgieva. So let's see. Taking on b4 seems like a curious decision because I'm going to take back with my rook. And then at some point I'm going to go after your g7 pawn. I have a pin with my queen on g3 here. So I'll play rook takes b4. I don't know what black's follow-up is. Bishop on c2 is terrible. So maybe it's a bishop on a4. But look at me. I'm jumping the gun here. So bishop to c2 might be the option. Thank you, Captain Caleb. But bishop c2, that way I can get my bishop to g6. The problem is I actually can't go bishop g6 because if I go bishop e5 and you go bishop g6, white goes h5 and kicks this bishop out with the pawn on g7 being such a target. So it looks to me like white is just in the driver's seat here, and I don't know what's being thought about. I would definitely take on b4 with the rook because I don't want to open the c file and give black counterplay. So Vasily Korchmar should just take on b4 with the rook, go for the typical bishop e5, pawn h5 set up, and go for the attack.
I wonder why she decided to take on b4 because I would be so scared to play this position without a bishop that can defend the dark squares. You see the queen on g3, the bishop coming to e5 or h6 or pawn to h5, h6. Everything is about the attack against the g7 square, the g7 pawn. And she takes on b4. So
Yeah.
I'm a fan of all the female players of the Pro Chess League and I root for them. But bishop takes b4, in my opinion, is a dubious decision that can cause trouble to the black king.
Yeah, the bishop was actually very well placed here protecting g7. And okay, she went for this bishop c2, rerouting the bishop, and I understand it. Because if we just go back, before the bishop captured on b4, yes, the bishop defends g7, but look at the other minor pieces. The knight on a3 that can go to c4, but then what? Like your knight to c4, I can even take it. The bishop on a4 is just stuck there. It's better than a pawn, but it's not, doesn't have anywhere to go to. So taking it allowed this bishop to come to c2, or maybe now it can go to f5 or to e4 or to g6, or if you can somehow push your h-pawn to h7, but the h-pawn is immobile because it'll be captured. So I think this looks just very good for Korchmar. Bishop e5 is just screaming, begging to be played here as, you can't go g6, you get mated in the dark squares. And if you go f6, you lose a pawn because I just take on f6 and this is pinned. So I don't know.
Yeah, Smart Chess is informing us that according to the caps, the gentlemen are the top team in the league. It's also, of course, great to see how those scores are going. And there will be an article coming up on the Pro Chess League and the cap scores, how the teams are evaluated according to that system. So check that out on chess.com later on today. Thank you, Smarter Chess, for the information.
Yep, thank you for sure. And I'm just reading... Typewriter 44 in chess.com TV chat goes, what does Anna like more, chocolate or saying penultimate?
Is that even a question?
What if you just continuously have your penultimate chocolate? I feel like that's a good place to be, right? Are you going to eat one right now? Oh, whoa, you're stacking them.
I wish I could.
Wait, is that Toblerone?
Which one?
The one that just fell. Which was that? Was that Toblerone?
This chocolate from Chile.
Oh.
That's from Chile. I also have chocolate from Lithuania. This is from Lithuania. This is from Belgium, from Robert. And this is from Chile. But this box is going to Grandmaster Robert Hess. I haven't touched it. It's looking at me every single day, but it's Robert's chocolate. It's actually not chocolate, but it's alfajores, and Robert knows what that means.
Wow.
He knows what that means.
Wow, you're the best. Yes.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy now.
I told you I brought you a box from Chile.
I kind of forgot. See, I forgot I owed you chocolate. I forgot that you got me chocolate. So this is a great friendship here. You get me chocolate. I get you chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got chocolate from all around the world.
I'm a very happy person right now. But Dinara Georgieva is not nearly as happy as I am.
She's not so happy, no.
Yeah, h5.
But she's fighting. And I like that the rook on a7 is now protecting the g7 square. So she did some magic there, opening up the 7th rank for the rook. She had to give up the f-pawn for it. So she pushed f6. But that means that at least she's not getting mated on g7. At the moment, the position is still looking, of course, very good for white. Pair of bishops. extra material, and attack. So everything you could ask for, white has it.
Yeah, this is just... Okay, let's go. Is there another game that we can look at that doesn't look so painful? Because you know how we've talked about bad Frenches before?
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't look like a French. I just wanted to see if you thought I was going to go there. It looks...
I haven't looked at the position yet. Tell me which game is that?
No, I'm talking about the Georgieva game.
Oh,
I was just trying to get you to cringe really quickly, and then I wasn't going
I
to say this.
cringe all the time.
It's because you have to listen to me, so I'm sorry about that.
No, according to the chat, like I saw some of the comments. I read the chat, guys. I read the chat. I cringe a lot.
No, I mean, I can be cringe-worthy, but I hope I don't make you cringe too much. Look at this.
No, we of course like to make fun of ourselves too. I think that's part of our jobs. By the way, in the game of Sargsyan against Yakuboyev, I just wanted to ask
Whoa.
Robert, Robert, what was your full name again? I forgot how it was put.
Something Robicasso?
Yes, yes. I forgot. 'cause it was
Robitablo
even
Robicasso
longer.
or something like that?
Indeed.
Something like that.
Shout out to my new favorite painter. Can he please highlight the pawn structure that is happening in this game between Sargsyan and Yakuboyev, some of the interesting features of this pawn chain?
You mean the double isolated e-pawns for both sides? That is a very unique pawn structure and one that I'm not sure I've ever seen before. And double isolated c-pawns for white, that's more common out of d4 opening. So
Yeah.
what in the world here?
How did they do this? How?
I'm scratching my head, and I'm literally scratching my head because I don't understand. And the problem is, for those of you wondering, this rook on d5 is hanging, so I can take it. But the problem is, once I play c takes d5 as a response, I mean, I can take it with the e pawn. I'm not sure which is better. But if I take it with a c pawn, I fix my pawn structure in a way that leaves my pawn protected on e6. And where are the points of infiltration? That's really the issue. I actually might take it with the e pawn and then try to rush my king to e4. That looks like a viable strategy here. Just getting my king to e4 to attack this pawn on e5. And the bishops are stronger than the knights, especially this bishop on e3 can go to h6. So still good for black, I would say, because I would reroute my knight to the d6 square as a blockade, but it's a very mixed bag. It's not easy to evaluate this. So h6 was played by Yakubayev, and he's just hanging here. I mean, I don't know, this is such a weird position where e4 is hanging, but if you take on e4, then rook d7 check will be annoying. So just really a crazy position here with lots of stuff going on.
I know. I was going to say the same, that I can't recall a game where I had seen the same pawn structure with the c pawns. Yeah, it's more likely, but the e pawns. So I was looking at the opening moves, like how did they even get this pawn structure? Just out of personal curiosity, like how do you produce such a beauty on the board? I'm all about healthy pawn chains, and the 4 pawns on the e file are impressive in the sense that they are unique, but I'm not sure they are that useful.
Yeah, and it looks like Sean Sargsyan offered a draw right now, which I would definitely not take if I were Yakubayev. I don't really see any risk for him to play on. Okay, something could change down the line. He could make some mistakes. But here in this position, I mean, he could take that rook on d5, as mentioned before. A move like rook to d6 is likely bad because rook d6, pawn d6, rook f1. So don't forget, with all these double pawns, means that there are plenty of open files. So don't forget that this rook can swing over to f1 if we were to trade on d6 and the e-pawn is removed. So you just have to be a bit careful because rook d6 does look like a decent move otherwise. And knight takes d5 is played here. Black is going to play knight a5, knight b7, knight to d6 to get this knight blockading the pawn in a good square. And I think black is just better here in the ensuing endgame.
I agree with you. And another game in the very same match, that's the board 4 game between Artek Manukyan and Mai Narva.
Whoa.
Mai Narva is on my fantasy team, and I'm a huge fan of all the female players. I have told you guys already, but this position for black is looking like a nightmare, an absolute nightmare.
Anna, I'm not going to lie to you. I've seen more active pieces in my day.
Really?
Yeah, once or twice.
What about this a8 bishop? Can you tell us about the a8 bishop, Robert?
Pawns are not allowed on the back rank. This position's illegal. I request this match restart. This is not a legal position.
You know what's funny is that in this position, if it was white to move, he could play queen takes pawn.
I'm,
Like queen takes pawn on f6.
yep.
Or even on d6, but that's not like such a strong move. But queen takes f6, and it would be mate if e takes f6.
Yeah, that is, even if that bishop was not on h8, that would be checkmate, but the bishop is on h8, so it makes it look even uglier from black's point of view. Yeah, I mean, queen takes d5 is a possibility. I think I would play that. Just take that pawn off the board and sort of pray that things will be okay. Queen d5 was just played by her.
And that's what she does. Let's see if there's gonna be a mating attack. The good thing about queen takes d5 is that if now Artak wants to play queen takes f6, at least the e6 pawn is in the air. So I don't know if queen takes e6 or bishop takes e6, but it looks like black could try to do something because queen takes f6 doesn't threaten anything immediate.
Right. Yeah, no, queen takes f6 might be a blunder at this point, but so rook ad1 played, so if you take on e6 now with the queen, then there's knight e takes d6, opening up an attack on that very queen, so that would be problematic. So instead, can I take on e6 with my knight? That's what I've been wondering about, because if I take on e6 with the knight, I remove the defense of the f7 knight, I attack your queen on f4, and this looks like the worst is behind my Narva.
Maybe she is hanging on. She is trying her best, of course, to survive this attack. And for Artak, well, he's got less time on the clock, and that's part of the game. Rook ad1 is an active move, of course, bringing the last piece. You want all your pieces to be part of the game and the attack. She goes for knight takes e6, attacking the queen on f4.
Yeah, that looks very logical. Now black's up 2 pawns, so if white isn't quick, that material advantage should be good for black, but now the rook, queen e3 play, the rook on f8's hanging, so if you move your queen away, I can take that rook, but still, like, if I go queen to a5, just get my queen out of here. It's queen a5, you play bishop takes f8, I guess, I go king takes f7, or knight takes f8 or something like that. It looks terrible. I mean, just, even once you win this material. So I'm sacrificing my queen. I changed my mind. Queen takes d...
Shout out to Danny Ranch, who is now with us in the chat. He's going to cover the Central Division together with Alexandra Botes that is coming up right after our show is over with Robert. And he's using the new emote of chess.com. We already mentioned earlier to you guys that we here at the Pro Chess League team, the chess.com team, Pro Chess League commentary, we never ever make jokes about players. We don't like to tease others, pull their legs. Like, we don't ever do that. We don't disrespect people. So yeah, we would never, ever, ever do that.
I mean, are you speaking for everybody or just yourself? Because I feel like...
I'm gonna use the new emote right now.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
It's so good.
It's hilarious.
Nap time.
It honestly,
it's nap time.
it kind of looks like dabbing from where I'm sitting here. It's like when you don't look too closely, it sort of looks like the start of a dab, but that person's just asleep.
Yeah, he's just having a power nap. And then the windmills actually did well, and they tied their match against the pawn grabbers. So maybe this is the secret, a power nap. That's what we all need.
I would love a power nap. I mean,
Yeah, especially on those days. Can you, Robert, remind us, like, how many shifts you had at the Pro Chess League?
Yeah, how many do you think I had in the month of February? And by the way, February is a short month, right? How many shifts?
The shortest it's supposed to be. I guess it doesn't feel that short to you.
It was the longest month of my life, but the shortest month of the year. So how many shifts do you think I covered for Pro Chess League?
I felt like every single shift you have covered that were out there, existing ones. How many have you?
So let's see, there are 4 shifts per week, and there are 4 weeks in the month. So that's 16 total. I did, I think, 11 out of the 16, or maybe 12. Yeah.
That is a lot. And
Yeah.
every shift, guys, just remember, every shift is about 3.5, 4 hours long at least, plus the technical setup. So you see us here about for like 4 hours, but it means that we were setting up the stream earlier. Basically, Robert only streams Pro Chess League, sleeps sometimes, and eats bagels. That's his life.
Yeah, I mean, I need to work harder is essentially what I think. But I am going to be streaming more, not just the commentary,
Yes.
but also some streaming, some big stuff happening soon. When everything is ready, all the graphics, all that stuff, I will announce it. It'll be on my channel, as you said before.
Ooh,
You can,
hype. Robert hype. Robert has hype, and that means that you guys should move your mouse over to where Robert is, between Robert's camera and the scoreboard. Move your mouse there right now and click on Robert's channel because you will want to be notified when he goes live. Has Bay hype.
yeah, I like you should be my PR person. You just did a great job there. You really like boosted me up. I was feeling a little down for a moment, just a little moment there, like a quick second, and now I'm rejuvenated. I feel alive. And
Has Bay hype. I can't wait for your new shows.
all I need is that chocolate that you just showed before. If I get some chocolate, I'm 100%. But without that chocolate right now, I'm only like 97%. And I see you waving it there. This match is also over. 8.5, 4.5 for the for the Eagles at this point over the horses. So all I can do is talk about chocolate, talk about life. I don't know. What's up, Anna? Do you have any...
I'm great. I'm just looking at this bunch of chocolate right next to me, thinking of the one that you owe me. So I'm gonna get another one at the Pro Stick Finals. By the way, finals, you guys know you need to mark it in your calendar. May the 4th be with you. What a bad pun, but May the 4th and the 5th, that's the Pro League Finals. The location will be announced shortly on chess.com.
Can't wait for that announcement. So I know where I'll be going, like you said before, Anna. Your flight's a little bit longer than mine will be. I think. I assume.
Really?
I assume it's going to be in the
I don't
U.S.
know the location yet. I don't know. Where am I flying in May? Let me know.
I don't know either, but we will know soon. But Anna, I had a question now. Oh yes, what kind of chocolate do you want?
Dark chocolate, no question. Any flavor or like nuts. I like dark chocolate in any size and shape and flavor. Anything that's dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate. And do you have a brand preference or anything?
Oh, anything.
All right,
I'll let you choose.
Okay.
I'll let you choose.
I'm gonna buy you
Thank
some good
you.
chocolate.
Aww. Aww.
Oh, that's a great question, Anna. When are you getting a chocolate emote?
I think very soon. Right now what's happening is that I have a new emote that's Anna the hamster. Did you know, Robert, that I'm the hamster in Fortnite?
I did not know that, and there's so many questions I want to ask, but that I probably shouldn't. So I'm not gonna ask.
So this is me. But right now I have two different hamsters on my channel. Later on today, after the Central Division's broadcast, I'm gonna be streaming on my channel. So if you guys wanna hang out with me, I'll be back in a few hours on my channel. And the main question for today on my channel is, which hamster is better? I have two different hamsters, and you guys should tell me, please vote, which one looks better. I'm gonna keep one, and the other one will be replaced by a chocolate emote. That's happening. You heard it. Chocolate emote coming up, but I need to choose between these two hamsters. Which one is better? You guys tell me.
Whoa.
So important. This is about life or death.
I think the first one, but I need to think about this for a second. Because the second one looks just like it ate the first one. And yeah, I think the first one. I'm going with the first one.
Do you like the first more because of the color? The other one looks sharper, I think. It's like crispier.
Yeah, that's true. Can you merge them? Can you get the same color but with the smaller...
I think yes. I think I can work on getting the same color but crispier. So it will be like the second version but the first version's color. This is it. The Pro Chess League commentary is down to which hamster emote is better and why.
I mean, that's what happens when these... Like, look at the matchups. They're all so lopsided. There hasn't been a single close match today. I see someone saying, you know, we're falling to Twitch fever. But, yeah, it's... What are we supposed to do? Like, these matches over. I do like this one game that I have up here between Sean Sargsyan and Nodirbek Yakubayev. But it's kind of like having a nice, you know, nice series of plays at the end of a basketball game when you're up or down 20 points. It's like it doesn't impact the result, but you're still wowed by the performance. And here, Sean Sargsyan is down a lot of material. Black's king is on d6, protecting this e5 pawn. But I think an issue for Black is the pieces are pretty stuck. Like, he went h5, which I think is a good move to get some space for his pieces on the side of the board. But you don't want to take this pawn if you're black. You take out h5, you give up the g file. If you go bishop to e1 or just bishop to h2 and go back and try to go back and forth, maybe black will finally move this knight away. Actually, I can't move my knight because I can move my knight because e5 is not a problem. e5 would have been a problem if the rook could go to h5, but it can't now. So, yeah.
Do you want to change the board? Because it just, my eye hurts whenever I look at that pawn structure. It's still on the board.
Sure. Let's go to what games are left. I see Elvis is playing Mkhitaryan. Let's go to Mkhitaryan. Nikita Meshkov's white, Haik Martirosyan black. And right here, isn't white up a pawn? And that's a weird bishop on h6. So
Yes, it is true that I think is the correct evaluation of this position. We love an extra pawn. We are pawn grabbers. We love free stuff. And yeah, good point. What is that bishop doing on h6? Right now, what white should solve is that the b2 pawn is hanging. So when you are extra material on the board, don't give it back. Like rule number 1 in chess, you may think it's development, finishing development so that your king is in safety, so castling and such. There's control of the center. Now forget about those. You want extra material and you then hold on to it, like rule number 1.
Yep. The times you give back material are often if you're under attack. So let's say you're up maybe 2 pawns, but you're getting attacked. Sometimes it's fine to like give a pawn back if it frees up your pieces and safeguards your king. So there are moments where you do give back the pawn, but here is definitely not one of them, as Anna pointed out. And b4 is very logical. You have a queenside passed pawn that now is protected by another, right? And the rook on f3 is very well placed, defending the a3 pawn. So white is making progress here. Queen d5 to trade queens is something I would certainly consider, because even if I give back the pawn there, in that situation, the pawn's given back, I have these 2 passed pawns here on the queen. So queen d5 is played very quickly. And now if you don't trade queens, you're going to lose your e5 pawn because my queen's right there. If you trade the queens, well, queen d5, e d5 just looks very nice for white. As mentioned, the b and a pawns are going down the board.
Totally. So this is good stuff for Nikita Meshkovs. You guys see that the score is already 8.5 in favor of the Eagles, but we have said already that the game points matter. So the horses are trying their best to collect some points. If we bring up the standings, the Estonia horses are at the 7th place at the moment. Every division will see the top 4 teams qualifying for the playoffs and the bottom 2 teams being relegated. So it's sad news, but the horses are looking on the outside of the Pro Chess League and they will need to fight their way back for the 2020 edition next year.
Yeah. I see Artak Manukyan, by the way, in the chess.com TV chat saying our Shant has problems with the computer. So Shant Sargsyan has 13 seconds left, so not a good time to have computer problems. But thankfully for he's also losing. But ignoring all that, thankfully for the Armenia Eagles, well, they've already locked up this match, so it doesn't matter if he loses the game, and he blundered there because he meant to take that.
Ooh, like a rook and a piece in one move?
Yeah.
Ouch.
Meant to take, and okay, it doesn't make a difference. You go rook h6 and then take this pawn on h4. It's completely winning for black, but not the best way to end your day if you are Shant Sargsyan, who had a good day, honestly, and unfortunately...
Yeah, he's been impressive every single week. I feel like he wins like 90% of the times, and he's a board 3 player, so normally board 3s don't collect that many points, but this game, he has gone down against Jakub Boyev, who is, I believe, did I put him? Yeah, I put him on my fantasy.
You did.
Am I remembering it well? Whew. Maybe I'm going to save myself from the 257th position and I'm going to make it to 231st.
231st?
Yeah, that could be a step up from like being totally at the bottom.
How many people are doing fantasy this week?
300 approximately, I think.
Oh, so
and I'm always at the bottom of the standings.
Maybe you need to pick better.
That's what I'm telling myself every week. And honestly, I always change it because I don't want to fall into the same problems. Like this player underperformed. So I change the team every week And then the players I had last week suddenly do well when I have replaced them.
You know, it's funny you said you fall in the same problem every week. There's a very good song from, not Shallow, from A Star is Born called Maybe It's
Oh,
Time. And it's all about, changing your ways. And, it can be scary to do that. But, yeah,
oh.
just, I don't want to sing it on air. I am tempted to sing it, but
I was hoping you will start singing it because I promised that Grandmaster Robert Hess is going to sing to those of you who managed to guess which team will get the top score today and what will be the exact score. That was a separate competition. Greg Shahada is saying that, Anna, just pick whoever you think will do the worst each week, then you will win for sure. Yeah, I guess that's a good strategy. I'll try it for next week.
yep. That,
Sing it. Look at this. Look at the call to action in the chat.
I can't listen to them. I'm a strong, independent person. And so just because they're saying it doesn't mean I'm going to do it.
But we are here to do what the crowd demands, right? We are all about the community.
I respect the community, but I'm not going to do whatever they tell me to do.
That makes sense. But if they respectfully ask you, if they say, Grandmaster Robert Hess, can you please perform a song for us? Would you do it?
Probably not. Look at Ahmad 0495. Give him more chocolate if he sings. Well, I've been distracted from the chess, but what's going on in this game between Meshkovs and Martirosyan? Because both sides have many passed pawns. And what is D6?
Let me check back with that
Wait,
position.
there's no way D6 was a good move.
Look at Ellen in the chat and the rest of the crew all asking you in the most polite way to sing for us.
Oh.
Joe Brune, Hess is an entertainer, but he's also a strong, independent man.
Yeah, I try.
I need to go back to live chess because chess.com has just knocked me out. It said that my login, I logged in on the other computer too, and that's what happens when you use the same account on two different computers. I have been logged out from one.
Here goes the ambulance.
Yay! We've been missing you.
Yeah.
Use your ambulance emotes right now in the chat.
Well, Nikita
And a
Meshkov.
bit of Hezbay. A bit of Hezbay.
Nikita Meshkov is the one who needs the ambulance here because it went from looking good for white to all of a sudden black having 4 different passed pawns, menacing passed pawns at that. And the bishop on f4 covers the b8 pawn. The rook is hitting the d7 pawn. So bishop to b8. Next move, rook takes d7. Would have been enough. Ooh.
Eee.
Checkmate. This actually was even more clever. h1 equals queen. I don't think
H1 knight?
that would be
H1 knight?
that would
No,
be
it would have been. It would have been, of course, a very, very silly thing to do. Don't play for the crowd that much. A queen is good enough.
Yeah. This is resignation occurred.
Of course. Yeah, you guys who haven't heard Robert singing, where were you? Like he sings every single Pro Chess broadcast and also on the Ursula's Chess on John's channel.
I literally sang last night with Anna on the stream. No, you're Anna with Alexandra.
Hey, nice to meet you, Anna.
Yeah.
Robert.
Yeah, I thought my name was Robert Tablo Robicasso or something like that.
Yes, totally. I forgot your name too. It's okay. Your full name, I mean.
Yeah, I put it in the chat right there. So
We feel good about that. I listened to the clip. That's true. Robert sings very often, and I was also very impressed by the performance that you and Danny put together on John's channel. That was a Backstreet Boys hit.
I mean, we were just back, all right?
Well, it lost on time, but the position was already troublesome, so he flags in a lost position. Well, it basically counts as resignation, and that concludes the last game of the Eastern Division. This hasn't been as exciting in terms of which teams would win, but we told you it's about the game points as well. Which team has made it? Which team has the highest score? Is it already updated, Robert? Do we have all the scores in?
Let's see. I'm going to go to the Pro Chess League website. I was too busy thinking about all the songs that I wanted to sing. But
Ooh.
Oh, what are you singing there for us? Wait, didn't you have a music video?
It wasn't no, that wasn't singing. I can do better than that.
No, wait,
I have a singing coach.
wait,
I have a teacher.
wait, but you have a music video. Is that out yet?
I have 2 music videos coming out.
When do they come out?
I'm editing one right now with Anton Squared Me, but it takes ages to make a music video. I had to realize, like with my chess videos, I know it's gonna take a couple of days, a week. For instance, the Deep Mind Office video that took us over a week. But a music video, oh my, it takes so long.
So
But it's gonna be worth it.
the people want answers. When is this music video? Can you release it during the Pro Chess League finals?
Oh, it will be out by the Pro Chess League finals
But-
for sure.
but-
It's gonna be out in the next few weeks.
I thought you'd be able to save it, or maybe save it for the playoffs or something, so like we can have a special release. That way it's like, you know, your album drops on air.
Ooh, I love the idea. Yes, it could be because I have one that's about 7 days of singing lessons. So Huga, my chess singer friend, she gave me a singing lesson for 7 days every day. And we
Okay.
filmed the lessons. And after the 7 days of lessons, I had to perform a song with her. That's a Guns N' Roses song.
Oh,
So
my,
that's the video I'm preparing right now. And
oh
then
my
in
gosh.
one of her music videos, because she is a singer-songwriter, she makes her own music. So she will have a music video coming out later. Maybe that could be tuned
Did
together with the Pro Chess League finals.
did you sing Sweet Child of Mine?
Almost. That was one of the candidates, but then we ended up choosing another one that is, I think,
Welcome to the
it
Jungle?
could be a chess song. It could be a chess song because in chess, many times you would need
Patience?
a lot of
Patience?
patience.
Oh, of course. You led me to it. I was hoping it'd be Sweet Child of Mine or Welcome to the Jungle, but you know, Patience makes a lot of sense. And Huga's songs are chess themed, at least for some of them that I've
Yeah.
heard. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, she's going to perform this weekend. So those of you who are in Oslo, Norway, she's going to be performing at the chess pub, the Dark Night. She will have a concert and a new song release. She has a new song about Mikhail Tal, a rock song.
Oh, I'm gonna be interested to see when that drops. And so
Yeah, I see so much information now in the chat, and also Sam Copeland suggesting a live performance at the halftime at the Pro Chess League finals. I don't know if I'm good enough for being a halftime show performer, but that's flattering. Thank you. I'm gonna be rapping in her music video. That's all I can say.
honestly, you should definitely perform at halftime. We need a halftime performer like any sports event.
Ooh.
So I think it should be you. This is going to be amazing.
Ooh.
I'm signing you up.
You're setting me up, but then I need Huga too. So
Yeah.
I need to tell Danny that he should bring Huga over because I cannot perform without her.
Okay, now this seems like over-reliance. You're a strong, independent woman. You don't need anybody else. You got this. Have confidence in yourself. You can do this, Anna.
We wrote the song together and she has most of the lines. I'm just doing the rap part.
I cannot believe you're rapping. This is unbelievable. But,
I know.
oh,
But the community is demanding a Robert and Anna duet for the halftime show.
I mean, what song do you want to sing?
Up to you.
Up to me? That's a dangerous thing to give me control over.
Ooh, Danny's saying that Miss Botes and Mr. Danny Arrange, they are both ready to take over. So we cannot discuss our music career with Robert because Danny and Alexandra are going to take over. Reminder to everybody, Danny's new name is Danny Ranch Hog. And make sure to use the new emote as well. I'm going to put it right now in the chat.
All right. Well, we're going to let it go to, well, speaking of songs.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Oh, don't hold it back anymore, Anna. Come on. Come on, just let it go.
You had to pick up the line from there. It was going to be a duet.
I knew what you were
Robert,
trying to
it's your
do,
chance.
and
You missed your chance.
that would totally work in private. Like if we were just hanging out, I would totally have just picked it up and started singing with you. But right now, because we're on air, I can't just give the fans what they want at all times. Sometimes you just gotta, you gotta hold it, dangle it, and then save it for later. But they're ready. We're gonna take off now. Anna, it's been a real pleasure. I'm sorry the matches weren't closer and that I was distracting you and that, you know, everything was going wrong. But you were a pleasure.
Everything has been great. Robert, you're the best PCI commentator out there. You've done an amazing job. And this has been really epic. We have seen queen sacrifices. We have seen crazy attacks, kings in the middle of the board, super crazy bone structures. I think this has been a great broadcast. Thanks to you, Robert. And maybe thanks to
you.
Some of those cool emotes in the chat too. And you guys, the community. Much love to the community. And thank you for your support.
But especially Anna Rudolph. So don't forget, Anna Rudolph, #1. She was the one leading the show today. She is the best, and I owe her some chocolate. So
that's only, guys, everything that Robert said, forget about it. The last part of the sentence, that is true.
Well, we're off now. It's going to be Danny and Alexander time. So everybody stay right here. I know Anna and I will probably be in the chat for a while, but enjoy the Central Division of the Pro Chess League.
Indeed, and I will be back on my own channel after the Central Division broadcast. So I hope that you will come by and use the hamster remote. See you guys there. Bye.
Bye.